I swear, Vince, I made more money working as an assistant on the wrestling circuit the summer after high school than I do now. My brother Tommy said that. We were sitting at my kitchen table, going over his finances for the umpteenth time. He hasn't fared well in the 2 years since his divorce. Okay, Tommy, I tried to explain again. You pull in $52,000 a year after taxes, which is about $4,000 a month. First, there's the $500 a month you pay in child support for Tommy Jr. and little Frank. So after that, you have $3,000 a month left. I don't have a problem with that, Tommy interrupted. Anything for my sons. This was true. Tommy's ex-wife Brandy had used every trick in the book to keep Tommy from his 2 boys. Brandy always had an excuse when it was Tommy's weekend with the boys. When Tommy was coaching their little league team, Brandy pulled the kids off the team. She claimed it was hurting their grades. When Tommy volunteered as a lunchroom monitor at his son's school, Brandy called the owner at the company that Tommy and I worked at. Brady reported Tommy was skipping work and not clocking out. However, old man Alvarez, who owned our company response, was not only paying for Tommy's time, but lent him the company van. Mr. Alvarez made paid time assisting a school company policy. Heck, even I got involved doing lunchroom duties 3 times a week. Pay attention, I instructed Tommy. Next up, the $1,000 a month court-ordered maintenance for Brandy. Now, you have $2,000 a month left? That is such BS, Tommy blurted out, then slapping the table. Brandy had only 6 months left on her nursing degree when we married. Why do I have to pay her alimony? Maintenance. Excuse me, maintenance. I worked my butt off so she could stay home with the boys. Why can't she get her FNing degree and get a job? No. She screwed around on me and I got her to pay the freight. Why she keeps screwing around? We went over this. The maintenance, or alimony payments, is only for 6 years. It is the court's way to let Brandy get skills needed to enter the tight job market. It is common when one spouse has not been in the workforce for a while. You are 2 years into that maintenance with 4 years left. Tommy leaned back in the chair. 6 years. You could get another degree in less than 4 years. Besides, she has not even gone to 1 class yet. I tried to continue. Then you have the house payments, mortgage, taxes, etc. That comes to another $1,000 a month. You have left about $1,000 in your monthly paycheck at this point. Great, Tommy said, looking up. Brandy picks out some McMansion that I bust my hump for. Then I gotta pay for that place and I sleep in my car. Tommy, you do not sleep in your car. Although seeing where your apartment is, your car may be a better option. Brandy only gets to stay in the house until little Frank turns 18, then you can sell. Yeah, and she gets 50%. I pay for the house, and she gets free rent and 50% of the profits. How is that fair? The court's concern is a stable place for the children. That is why you were ordered to keep making the house payments. Brandy gets 50% of your future sale because she is expected to keep your house maintained while you make the mortgage, insurance, and tax payments. That is even more BS, my brother Tommy countered. Every time something needs to be done, I get a call. I would tell Brandy to go to hell, but it is one of the few times I can see the boys without a battle. Tommy, out of your last $1,000 left, you must pay health and dental insurance for Tommy Jr. and Frank, about $300 a month. Nothing is more important than my boys' health, but I got 2 beefs. Number 1, why do I have to pay Brandy's health care? Because our company family plan's cost is same for the 2 boys as with or without Brandy on it. Court judge said you have to carry Brandy also for the same time period as the maintenance payment. Judge cited it was not any additional financial burden. Easy for him to say, Tommy replied. What burns me is Brandy uses that health insurance against me. Every time it is my weekend to get the boys, they are always too sick. It takes me a month to get on the court docket and drag Brandy before the judge. Brandy waives all these doctor bills, which I pay for, by the way, as proof the boys were too sick to see me. Damn, Vince, it is nothing more than sniffles, sore throats, and skin knees and such. The week I am to get the kids. If either one of them coughs, Brandy rushes them to the doctor. The only weekends I get the boys is when they need something, like new shoes, haircuts, school supplies, that kind of stuff. Where is my child support money going, and the half of my 401k Brandy got? How is that fair? Tommy, no one said the justice were fair, just blind. So I am left with $600 a month, or $150 a week. I should just quit and say screw it all. Just then my wife Lisa walked in and put 2 grocery bags on the table. How did quitting work out for you last time? Lisa piped in, hearing the end of our conversation. Tommy just looked down at the table. A year after the divorce and divorce terms, Tommy had quit his job and stopped making any of the court-ordered payments. Too bad for Tommy. Our state had a stiff deadbeat dad law that allowed the state to lock up those behind on child support for 60 days up to a year at a time. 2 months after Tommy's own personal strike, he was thrown in county lockup. Tommy lasted 12 days before he agreed to comply with the court orders. Good thing Tommy was such a great tech. Old man Alvarez gave him his job back. Tommy was a natural techie and craftsman. He could fix anything, as well as do anything: drywall, lay concrete, home repair, whatever. Tommy really shined with complex electronic machinery. Even senior engineers came to Tommy when they were stuck, even though Tommy did not have a degree. Tommy getting his job back was fortunate, as not only did Tommy have to make up 2 months' payments, but court costs also. "Well, I had plenty of company in the joint," Tommy grumbled. "Lot of turnips and lockup." Turnip was the term used for fathers who could not pay child support or alimony, as in, cannot get blood out of a turnip. At any time, up to 13% of the county inmate population was deadbeat dads or turnips. It is form of debtor's prison sentence handed out like contempt of court. But as it was a civil penalty, a man was not even entitled to a lawyer. Not that it would have done Tommy any good. My 2 boys came running in after their mother Lisa and ran right to Tommy. "Uncle Tommy! Uncle Tommy!" My 8 and 10-year-old shouted, jumping all over Tommy. "Did you bring candy? Did you bring candy? Where is candy? Where is candy?" Tommy laughed and pointed at the sliding glass door leading to our backyard. On the other side of the glass, a large Doberman dog was dancing on his hind legs in excitement and whining loudly on seeing the 2 boys. Candy, a 110-pound black and tan male Doberman Pinscher, was a dog my brother had adopted after cops had rescued him from a fighting house. The dog was called Candy because it was used as cannon fodder for the pit bulls to chew on to get them ready for a match. Candy had survived, but with serious injuries, and Tommy had convinced the veterinarian not to put Candy down. Tommy had traded the vet labor on a new outdoor deck in return for Candy's surgery costs. Candy looked like hell with one chewed-up ear and scars crisscrossing his body from muzzle to tail. However, while Candy looked like hell and would follow Tommy through the gates of hell, Candy adored my boys and Tommy's sons. Candy let the boys do anything to him and stuck to them like glue. "Boys," Tommy said, "do not feed Candy too much," as my boys raided the fridge for hot dogs and meat products to give to Candy. While Tommy may be the boys' favorite and only Uncle Candy was their favorite dog. Lisa opened the sliding glass door for the boys to rush out. You could see she was hesitant. "Vince, you sure they're going to be okay?" Lisa was not a big fan of dogs. Candy still frightened her a little, and seeing Candy's scarred muzzle and big teeth so close to her children made Lisa uneasy. Lisa was watching the boys with Candy, and both Tommy and I looked at her. Lisa and I were opposites in more ways than one. At just under 6 foot with light features and blue eyes, Lisa still looked like the star volleyball player whose skills had gotten her a full college scholarship. Lisa had legs that went on forever, and her gams would make any Las Vegas dancer jealous. While not vain, Lisa was proud of her legs and always wore outfits that showed off her leggy figure. She was small-busted, barely in a cup, and while 2 births had filled out her hips a bit, Lisa still had the looks of her northern German ancestors and could turn heads at 38 years of age. Even after 12 years of marriage, I could not get over her. Tommy and I resembled our Italian forefathers, both of us standing no more than 5 foot 6 inches with dark features found in southern Italy. While not a Greek god, I did not frighten children either. Coaching the boys' sports team had kept my expanding waistline at bay, harder to do now that my 40th birthday had just passed. Lisa was stubborn as a mule and would not back down once she had taken a position. I was more laid back and felt life was too short to sweat the small stuff. We had long ago gotten used to the looks our Mutt and Jeff appearance made. Tommy adored Lisa. It was Lisa who told Tommy when she found Brandy was cheating on Tommy. Lisa had strong beliefs, and when Brandy refused to stop or tell Tommy, Lisa gave Brandy an ultimate. Brandy thought Lisa was bluffing. Lisa never bluffs and called Tommy right in front of Brandy. The divorce was nasty, but Tommy admired Lisa for what she had done and often told me that often. "How much was it this time?" Lisa asked that evening while coming out of the bathroom rubbing lotion onto her hands. $100, I replied. "Tommy Jr. and Frankie need new shoes." Lisa got into bed wearing a nightgown I liked. What is Tommy going to do? Since the divorce, my brother was always borrowing money for his kids. But Tommy was no freeloader. He always did something that exceeded the loan. I think he had remodeled half my house in the past 2 years. Hang that ceiling fan in the porch you wanted and install the tankless hot water heater. I was a skilled accountant, but could not nail 2 boards together. Sounds like we got the better part of the deal on that one. Lisa then fluffed a pillow. Tommy certainly did not get any deal with Brandy, I said, sliding closer to Lisa. The next statement from Lisa shocked me. Well, it is not all Brandy's fault. Whoa, I sat up. You want to tell me how Brandy cheating on my brother and screwing him over is not her fault? Lisa wrinkled her brow before she spoke. Brandy was wrong to cheat. There is never any reason to cheat. But your brother overreacted? Overreacted? You know the courts almost always give custody to the mother. Thousands of studies show children are most always better off with their mothers. Say what you will about Brandy, but she always was a good mother. Lisa's studies also show children are better living as a family with a mother and father. How is Brandy breaking up the family with a divorce making Brandy a good mother? Brandy did not file for divorce. Tommy did. Brandy didn't want a divorce. Lisa, you know the story as well as I do. Brandy was not even sorry. She refused to stop going out with guys and wanted Tommy to stand down until she got ready to come back. Is Tommy better off now? It was only 3 guys, and one of them was only a BJ. Brandy told me she was almost done anyway and wanted to get back to Tommy. Well, that should have made it all better for Tommy. Vince, don't be so dramatic. It was only sex and bad sex from what Brandy told me. Remember after Vince Jr.'s birth? I had complications and was sick to my stomach for almost every day for 2 months. I knew you had needs and gave you a free pass to get laid. I even scoped out some of the ladies at Tony's school to fill in. Lisa, I love you, but sometimes you drive me crazy. I remember that time. For one, your hormones were all over the place after Vince Jr.'s birth, so I did not take you seriously. Number 2, our wedding vows included forsaking all others, not to mention in sickness and in health. I take those vows seriously. You said there was no excuse for cheating. Are you now saying there are times when cheating is okay? Because I do not. I still think cheating is never okay. But I understand a bit of what Brandy was feeling. Brandy felt she was getting old and was seen as nothing but a mother and Tommy's husband. I do not agree with her cheating, but understand why Brandy did it. Lisa, I think my head is going to explode. How can you agree with Brandy cheating but believe it was wrong? Well, if Brandy had told Tommy, it would not have been cheating. If Brandy had told Tommy how she was feeling, maybe they could have worked something out. Then there would have been no cheating involved. Work things out? Not cheating if you tell your partner? Lisa, you cannot be serious. If Brandy wanted to play cowboy and schoolmarm or cheerleader and football star, Tommy would have been game. But sex with another guy never gonna happen. Then Tommy made the choice and has to live with the consequences. Again, you gotta ask, is Tommy better off now? Look at it logically, what Brandy did was wrong by not telling him, but it was already done. Nothing could change the past. No way to unring that bell. The decision Tommy had to make was dealing with his and his family future. Seriously, is he doing better now than if he had let slide a couple of stupid, meaningless sex sessions that did not threaten him in any way and only pumped up Brandy's self-esteem? Okay, Lisa, what is the number of sex partners that Tommy should let slide? 3, 5, 10? Now you are being silly, Vince. It is different with women than with men. I saw a few grays last week, and it really got me down. Ladies are always judged by their looks. What is the big deal? You always look great. If a few gray hairs is bothering you, then head off to your favorite salon and pick out the hair color of your choice. It is more than that. After a certain age, women become invisible. No one looks at us, wants us. It is like we are not even there. It should not matter, but it does. I know men and women are getting more equal than in our parents' days, but until a lady can walk around with a beer belly and a thinning hair yet think they are still sexy, it is not going to change. So cheating and jumping on a strange man's bed is going to make you equal, make the marriage better? It is not about the sex, and it isn't cheating if the other partner knows about it. You and I are great in bed, and you know that. It is about that feeling of being admired, the thrill of for the first time. Something new, a different feeling, that adrenaline rush of being wanted, of deciding to go or not. Lisa, you know that Tommy adored Brandy before the divorce, and you know that the kids and I are your #1 fan club, and we adore you. But you are saying cheating will make? I hesitated for a moment. Lisa, do you have something to tell me about the past? I could feel my blood pressure rise up. Lisa shifted closer to me and said, Vince, I have never cheated on you and never will. Lisa knew how to press my buttons. Lisa whispered in my ear, just think Tommy is missing all the good times with Brandy like we have all because of some stupid dates in the past he cannot do anything about. Lisa, you are freaking me out. I rolled over to go to sleep. Brandy is squeezing Tommy so much for money he is going to lose it soon. You can't get blood out of a stone or turnip, and I turned off the light. 3 weeks later, I was pulling into my driveway late one evening, and I saw 2 cars parked by my curb. Standing around the late model cars were some guys and few girls from the university, judging by their dress. I walked into the house to see a large young man sitting on my couch watching TV and drinking one of my beers. Can I help you, son? I asked the giant. He was as tall as me and he was sitting down. His arms were almost as large as my legs. No, I'm cool, said the giant. You must be Lisa's old man. Dude, you are lucky to have a woman like that every night. He put down the beer. I'm gonna be her date tonight. I set down my briefcase. Did you just say you were Lisa's date tonight? Yeah, man. That Lisa is one hot cougar, but she really made me jump through the hoops for this date. Online interview, medical test, 2 meetings at the mall that were like a damn job interview. I was skying when she picked me. Dude, I hope it is worth it. Tell me, man, she's good, right? Well, good is not a word I would use. Excuse me. I then took off upstairs, taking the steps 2 at a time. I caught Lisa in the bedroom putting on her makeup. Lisa was dressed in painted-on jeans, CFM heels, and a tight shirt. Lisa, what is the jolly green giant doing in our living room? And what is this nonsense about a date? Lisa did not even look away from the mirror as she was putting on her lipstick. His name is Randy. He is on the university wrestling team and majoring in communications. Lisa then turned toward me. I'm sorry you got home late from work tonight. I wanted to get this out of the way before Randy came over. But I got a rush, so I will give you the quick version. Sit down for a second. Lisa patted on the bed and I sat down on our flowered comforter. Vince, I am not getting any younger, and I have been a good wife to you for over 12 years, and mother to our children for over a decade. I just need this right now in my life. You must understand that. It has nothing to do with you or the kids. So you were going to pull a Brandy? I could hardly speak. My heart was pounding through my chest. No, what Brandy did was wrong. This is not cheating because I am being very open about what is going on. We talked about this last month. Lisa, you are splitting hairs. This is wrong and cheating no matter what you say. I am asking, no telling you as your husband of 12 years and father of your children to stop this nonsense. I think you need a medical workup. This not you. My face was flush and I was starting to sweat. Lisa finally turned to look at me. Well, it is too late now. Randy is already here. Lisa, it is not too late until you walk out that front door. I will take care of Randy. With that, I left the bedroom and bounded down the stairs, my heart still going a million miles a minute. Randy, I said, and the guy stood up. Randy towered above me. There has been a misunderstanding. Lisa will not be going out with you. Huh? Randy looked confused, then a light bulb went on in his head. Dude, man. I get it. Look, Lisa told me you were cool with this. Well, I am not, and I would appreciate you leaving now. Look, dude, I am sorry you and Lisa have a disagreement, but that is like between you and her. Me and Lisa got an agreement, an arrangement, and I am hanging right here until she tells me different. Well, Randy, my name is the only one on the house title, so unless you want me to call the police. I grabbed at Randy's arm. It was like gripping a tree limb. It is time to leave. Randy yanked away his arm. Just then Lisa came down the stairs. Vince, stop that right now. Randy, would you please wait in your car? I will be right out. Randy waited a second but walked out the door. Later, man. Lisa faced me. Now, Vince, I am sorry you were upset, and I see this is not going as planned. Lisa took a deep breath. We talked about this, and I thought you would be more understanding. Lisa held up a finger and pointed at me. How is this? If you are still up when I get home, I will give you a bedroom session you will not forget. Sloppy seconds. No, thank you, I muttered. I felt like I was about to have a heart attack. Lisa, what have I ever done or said that would make you think I would be all right with this? My voice was tight, and Lisa could see I was pissed. Fine, Lisa said, throwing up her hands. Vince, you win. Let me go out this one time, and you will see it changes nothing. But if after I return from this date, and tomorrow you are still upset, I won't go out again until we talk about it some more. I stood up and walked in front of the door, trying not to stroke out. Lisa, this is my offer. You stop this BS. Go back upstairs, and we will see a doctor and therapist first thing tomorrow morning. But you walk out that door, we will be done. Over. History. Your choice, your children and I pointed out the door. Or that. Oh, do not be so dramatic. Lisa picked up her purse. You love me and the kids too much. I also know you do not want to live like your brother. Lisa checked herself out in the hall mirror. Besides, I do not even know if anything is going to happen tonight. Even if it does, Randy is clean. But I will make him wear a condom regardless. There, are you happy now? No, I am not happy now by any stretch, and you will not be part of my future if you leave out the door. But Lisa, you are partly right. I do love my kids, and I will not live like my brother. But you walk out that door and my love for you goes out the door too. Trust me, Lisa, I will make you pay for your actions. I am not my brother. Lisa walked past me, opened the door, and turned back to me. You know, Randy told me he had a cute co-ed he knows that has daddy issues, and I was going to hook you up with her. But if you are going to be this way, forget it. Lisa took a step out the door. The kids are in bed, and what is left of dinner is in the microwave. You have my cell if there is an emergency. With that, she was gone and the door closed behind her. I sat down and willed my pulse to stop racing while I tried to think. This was surreal. This could not be happening. I finally snapped out of it and went through options in my mind. I was surprised that my love for Lisa had evaporated. It was said you cannot turn off love, or the love would turn to hate. But I felt nothing for her now. Not love, nor hate, just nothing. My main feeling was fear. Fear of losing my children. For a brief second, I considered letting Lisa's actions slide. That way I could keep my family. Instantly, I knew I could not tolerate Lisa going out with another guy or guys. It just was not in my DNA. This was not the Lisa I married. I do not know who she was, but I did not love that person. Fear of losing my children filled my mind and pushed out all other thought. I kept seeing the future like my brother fighting for every second with my sons, missing out on key times in their lives. I ran through a dozen options from violent action to complicated plans. All ended with me in jail or Lisa getting the kids. Everything led to the same conclusion: in a divorce, I was going to get screwed and lose seeing my boys. Lisa had really boxed me in. Then a bizarre idea came to mind. It was the path I decided to take. Because the action was so out there and so out of character, it would blow the circuit fuses in the person's brain that Lisa had become. First, I checked on the boys. They were sound asleep. I climbed down the steps and stood in front of the hallway mirror. This is going to hurt, I muttered to myself, then reminded myself it was for my boys. 3 minutes later, I was done. My shirt was ripped and I had scratches on my chest and face. My nose was bloody and the lip was bleeding. One eye was swelling and soon be black and blue. Best was my forehead. I had smashed my forehead against mirror, shattering the mirror with a big spider web. My forehead was bleeding like a stuck pig. I knew from my days as a wrestling gopher years ago the forehead bleeds a lot, but had no real damage. I had been careful not to bruise my knuckles while punching myself. 911, what is your emergency? 911, I said into the phone. I need help. My wife and her boyfriend assaulted me. My children are in the house, and I am afraid they are coming back. Sir, I have your address and I will have a patrol car on the way now. Can you secure the location? Do you feel in danger? The 911 operator asked. Damn right I feel in danger. Please tell the police to hurry. I texted my brother Tommy on my cell to come ASAP as I spoke on the house phone. I can lock the doors, but I do not know when they are coming back. Do you need medical attention? Did you lose consciousness? Yes, I need an ambulance. Might as well make it good. I must have been knocked out because I do not remember anything except my wife and that guy hitting me, and I think I got kicked a few times. Okay, sir, help is on the way. Try to remain calm and stay on the line. My brother must have been in the area as Tommy got there first. He was stunned, but I said I would answer his questions later. Now I needed him to watch the boys and take pictures of my injuries. Tommy was snapping pictures with both his cell phone and my digital camera when the police and ambulance arrived. Candy was not happy about the commotion, and Tommy had to put the dog in the boys' room, who were still fast asleep. It was around 3:30 in the morning as I got out of the cab in front of my once happy home. The doc had patched me up at the hospital, and a sympathetic detective had taken my statement. What the hell? I thought as I looked at the front of my house. There were tire tracks all over the lawn. The bushes were trampled and the front porch railing was hanging. A local Metro police car was in the driveway. I opened the front door and Candy welcomed me by trying to give me a series of licks while wagging his stubby tail a mile a minute. As I petted Candy, I heard my brother Tommy yell, "Vince, we're here in the kitchen." As I entered the kitchen with Candy faithfully following, I saw a small female cop was sitting at the table talking on a cell phone and writing something in a notebook. What shocked me was Tommy. Tommy was holding an ice pack to his right eye. The corner of his lip was split and Tommy had cotton swabs stuck up one nostril. His clothes were torn in several places and Tommy was missing a shoe. Tommy saw me staring and gave a lopsided grin. What you looking at, Vince? You missed all the fun. Tommy moved his ice pack. You want to trade bandages? I hope I don't look as bad as you. I was finally able to stutter out, Tommy, what the F did you do? Tommy leaned back in the chair. You missed quite a night. It started out with the officer here. Tommy pointed a finger at the female officer, still talking on the phone, who waved in my direction, telling me all about your wife and boy toys assault. We were sitting here drinking coffee awaiting Lisa to come home before all hell broke loose. Tommy petted Candy on his huge head. The officer told me in domestic disputes where there is violence, for any reason, one person goes to jail for 24 hours. A cooling down period, so to speak. Tommy took off his ice pack and laid it on the table. Well, at about 2 a.m. Lisa came home and was met at the door by the officer and, well, Lisa had her boy toy Moose with her. He is a big boy. Randy is his name, I muttered. You sure? And old Moose had another guy with him, continued Tommy. Anyway, after the officer explained the issues to Lisa, she tried to put the cuffs on Lisa. Then it got crazy. Lisa started to fight back and the boy toys got involved. Then I got involved. Tommy pointed at his eye. As you can see, not too successfully. As Moose and Squirrel were rearranging my features, old Candy came flying through the open door. Tommy petted Candy sitting by his side. Then it was all about a 110-pound tornado of teeth, fur, and fangs. Moose and Squirrel got bit a half-dozen times each before Candy latched onto Moose's crotch. He won't be peeing without pain for a while. Tommy laughed. The cop had tossed Lisa by now and was giving the old code officer needs urgent assistance on the radio when some of Moose's pals got out of his car and decided to come play too. Jesus H. Christ, I exclaimed. Hold up, Tommy held up his hand. It gets better. You know your next-door neighbor Marie Rodriguez's oldest boy Juan. Sure, great kid. In the army now, Afghanistan, I think. We both coached him on our CYO football team. I said, her youngest son Alberto, and my kids have sleepovers all the time. Yasim's him and Jamal Franklin also on our old CYO football squad are back on leave. They and some of their buddies were pulling into their driveway after a night out and saw old Coach Tommy getting the hell beat out of him. That gang came charging across the front lawn like the 1st Armored Division they belonged to. Tommy chucked. Lisa's playmates were flying around like 10 pins at an all-star bowling tournament. Plus Candy was ripping into any limb that got within biting range. I could only sit back open mouth. Tommy leaned forward with obvious enjoyment telling the story. But wait, there is more. Finally, the police cavalry arrives. Metro PD, county sheriffs, even a highway patrol car. They came out swinging sticks, and it looked a scene out of Braveheart for about 10 minutes. Tommy touched the back of his head. Heck, even I got whacked trying to get Candy out of there before someone shot my puppy. This earned Candy a scratch behind his torn ear. Finally, the clubs, tasers, and Candy settled the issue, and everyone was cuffed and on the ground. The officer and I had to walk around sorting out the good boys from the bad boys. All the naughty children and Lisa are in the pokey now going through the system. The word children snapped me out of my stupor. Where are the boys? I exclaimed, jumping up. Relax, Tommy said, pointing back to my chair. Your little one slept through the whole ordeal. At that point, the female officer snapped shut both her cell phone and notebook. Mr. Fontenay, I am glad you are here now. I hope you are feeling better. She put away her phone and notebook. Your spouse and friends will most likely be arraigned late tomorrow if you wish to arrange bail, Tommy snorted. The officer gave him a look. Your spouse is probably looking at resisting arrest, assault on a law enforcement officer, plus some other charges. The officer started toward the door. Did they tell you about the restraining order procedure? Yes, I replied. They explained I needed to be at the courthouse room 564 at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. She turned back toward Tommy but was still talking to me. I guess that will be all then. I am sorry about your situation. Please call me if you need anything. She then walked out of the kitchen toward the front door. Tommy threw the ice pack into the sink, then said, What now, Vince? You want to talk? Nope. Sleep, you can take the guest bedroom. Later in the AM, I take the kids to school and head to court. You got an early date at Home Depot. 4. Locks. I want new deadbolt locks on every door and secure every opening in this place. It was a busy morning. Tommy headed out to be at Home Depot to be there when the doors opened. I went online and closed all our bank accounts, paid off, then canceled the credit cards and Lisa's cell phone. Hell of a penalty. Got the kids fed and onto school. Next stopped at the bank to pick up the account amounts, then onto another bank for new accounts and credit cards. The hearing for a restraining order was quick and fast once it got to the judge. The order was only good for 30 days before it had to be renewed, but it kept Lisa 100 yards from me, the kids, and the house. Lisa could get her stuff only if I was not present and in the company of a court officer. Next was a divorce attorney. I used the same guy that Tommy's ex-wife Brandy had. He was a shark, but now he was my shark. I wanted the papers served on Lisa before she got out of the clink. He said it was not enough time. I was surprised when my shark started talking about looking into a separation first to cool down, perhaps couples therapy. Was this the same guy who flayed my brother alive? I wanted a scorched earth campaign. Look, the shark started. Let me play devil's advocate for a minute. We do not even know if your wife cheated on you. Not that that matters anyway. You really have no proof. Do you have any hard evidence? Pictures? Witness statement? Did you hear anyone claim to see her with another guy in an adulterous position? All you know is she left with a group of young girls and guys. They could have been going to a football game. It's not football season. And what football game lasts until 2 a.m.? Okay, I am not saying you do not have a strong case. With the assault charges and restraining order, you have a better chance than your wife for custody. But you never know what a judge wants. The judge may see a she said he said issue and no one wins. You want your kids to grow up without one parent? Yeah, but I do not want to end up like my brother, maybe seeing his kid every other month and living like an unemployed undergrad. My shark leaned across his desk. You still might. This is a no-fault state. Unless she is incarcerated, you still need to split the assets 50-50. I will do as you wish, but the courts are very heavily tilted in favor of the mother. In your case, you have a much better chance than most, but is there even the slightest chance you two can work through this event? He folded his hands. Just do it, I said, and started to write out a check for his retainer. Lisa got out 2 days later. I do not know who paid her bail. A bail bond company called me. Lisa was requesting the house as collateral for bail. I told them it was not going to happen and I would contest any such document. I had packed Lisa's car with as much of her stuff as would fit in her car and parked it 100 yards down the block. The keys and signed title were in the glove box. After that, the phone answering machine in my cell was filled with Lisa's calls. I listened to the first few, which were full of stories about how no cheating had been going on. Nothing happened. She could explain everything. She was shocked I had been injured somehow, but I had gone too far. It was all a mistake, a misunderstanding. Not surprising there was no tears or sobbing. Lisa was still Lisa and had made up her mind. I knew Lisa thought if she could get me to understand her thinking, all would be well. Lisa was correct that she knew me after over 10 years, but I also knew Lisa after over a decade together. She would try to get to me through the kids. I was walking from the school parking lot to the cafeteria for my monitoring duties when Lisa and, surprise to me, Randy aka Moose came hustling toward me from behind a pillar by the school door. Randy aka Moose was walking a bit slowly with a slight limp, no doubt, a lasting reminder from Candy, my brother's Doberman. Lisa started first as soon as she got into range. Vince, be reasonable, there was no cheating. Then Randy aka Moose interrupted. Dude, you gotta drop the charges? I never touched you. Me and her. It was no big deal. This jail thing gonna screw up my scholarship? Then Lisa was talking over him and it was a jumble of, no divorce. Hot woman, not worth this. I only love you. Work this out. Each one of them talking louder and louder. Halt, I said, holding up my hand showing a small recorder. I need you both to get away from me now. I pointed at Randy aka Moose. You are on bail for assault and now causing me to fear for my safety. I pointed toward Lisa, and you are in violation of a restraining order. Oh, stop being so dramatic, Lisa said, reaching out to grab my arm. I do not care about anything some useless court said on a piece of paper. You need to come with me so we can get this straightened out. Randy aka Moose might be majoring in communication, but I do not think he grasped the concept of a recording device because he said, dude man, if this screws up my ride, I am gonna kill you. I had to conceal my smile as I turned and ran back toward the family minivan with Lisa and Randy aka Moose in pursuit. I pointed the remote key entry at the minivan and depressed the button that activated the automatic sliding doors on both sides. Did you know that you can hire off-duty Metro PD officers in full uniform as private security, even bodyguards? The Metro PD is so efficient they have a form on their website for services with rates that can be paid via credit card. It was not cheap, but it was worth every penny when the 4 bulky Metro PD officers piled out of the family-style minivan. Randy aka Moose was meek and silent as he was handcuffed and read his rights, but I think Lisa finally understood I was not going to listen to her reason. Lisa was a little less calm, but still firm as she said, Vince, is this what you want? Is it? Your children's mother in handcuffs, a divorce? Fine, I will take the house, your 401k, the kids, every dime you make, and you better start saving for your children's 21st birthday, because when this is over, that is the next time you are ever going to see them. I am going to squeeze you for all you have. You can't get blood out of a turnip, but I am going to get it out of you. Lisa went on and on as we awaited a Metro Patrol car to take the pair to booking. I just nodded at Lisa and made sure the recorder was not going to run out of memory. You ever hear the old saying, the enemy of my enemy is my friend? Well, I guess it is true. You could have knocked me down with a feather when Lisa was bailed out the next day, and the person posting the bail was none other than Tommy's ex-wife, Brandy. I think Brandy got a kick that the money I had lent Tommy to make his alimony payments, Brandy had used to bail out Lisa. Lisa was now staying with Brandy in Tommy's house. Tommy and Candy literally moved into our house. My boys were a bit confused about why Mom was missing. I told them Mommy was gone to visit her Aunt Flo, best I could come up with on the spot. But the trade of their mom for Uncle Tommy and his dog Candy seemed to win them over. Lisa was fighting the divorce and the restraining order, but having problems because without funds Lisa was having difficulty keeping a lawyer. Seems lawyers want to get paid, and my shark's legal maneuvers was keeping any money out of Lisa's hands. Lisa was living off of Brandy, and that then came to halt. Tommy came into my office at work. Vince, just want to let you know I am going on disability and won't be at work. Tommy, are you okay? What's wrong? Well, after that little melee at your house, I'm having dizzy spells and trouble balancing. That disability insurance you talked me into paying for every paycheck is going to pay 66% of my salary. Tommy then winked at me. Vince, do you know in our state that disability is not subject to alimony? Also, child support and divorce terms are to be modified in case of a disability by one partner. Tommy sat down in my chair. Let's see how Brandy acts when she has to deal with a little belt tightening. It did not take long after Tommy's check failed to arrive for Brandy to act. In less than 30 days, Brandy had got on the court docket, and it do not go well for her. The judge was disappointed in the lack of Brandy's employment or school enrollment. Brandy's maintenance was discontinued and the child support cut as well. Brandy was also made to take over the home payments. This was extended until Tommy was back to work full-time. Still, I was surprised a week later to see Brandy at my door with Tommy Jr. and little Frank. Uncle Vince, is Vince and Tony home? My two nephews asked, already walking in the door. Sure, boys, they are in the backyard. Go ahead and play with them. The boys ran through the house to the backyard. Vince, I need to speak to you for a moment, Brandy said, stepping into the house. Just then, Tommy's Doberman Candy came trotting around the corner. The dog spied Brandy, and Candy's hair on his back stood up. His upper lip curled into a snarl and exposed a sizable set of teeth. This was accompanied by a low growl. I gently pushed Brandy out the door and called out, Vince, Tommy, come get Candy and bring him into the backyard. Now Brandy and I were standing on the front porch. Was that necessary, Vince? Brandy seemed shaken. Can't you control that mutt? Brandy, I appreciate you bringing over the kids, but what do you want? Okay, Vince, I will cut to the chase. Lisa is staying with me, and she is major league pissed at you. Lisa really misses her kids. This little fairy tale you spun about her, and that meathead beating you up has Lisa spiting flames. She is vowing to go for full custody, huge child support payments, alimony, the house, your 401k, the works. Well, Lisa is free to make that argument in court. Going to be tough without a lawyer, though. Does she have one? I hear that another one quit after Lisa stiffed him. But why do you care? Because your brother Tommy's little medical vacation is cutting into my lifestyle big time. Here is the deal. Back to the old status quo. I think I can get Lisa to come back and forgive you for all your childish jackass behavior, and you get Tommy to go back to work and make the payments the court originally ordered. Forgive me, Lisa wants to come back. Screw her. I don't want that street hooker near me. Does cheating runs in your family DNA? As for your deal, do you really want my thoughts on that? Well, even if you don't want it, let me give it to you. I think you and your 304 sister can kiss my butt, and as for your deal, print it on a piece of paper and shove it up your butt. Tell your deranged sister I am all in for a fight. She can go and screw herself. You have no chance in court. You and your brother are two of the biggest fools around. Both you trolls married way above your pay grade, and after a decade think Lisa and I are your possessions. Are you willing to throw it all away because Lisa went on a date with some kid half your age? Is that it? Bruise your little ego? Hell, Vince, Lisa told me nothing even happened. I looked at Brandy and raised my eyebrows, and I should believe you both because what? Cheaters and 304s like you never lie? Why would I lie? And on Lisa's one-time night out, in all 12 years of marriage, the one single night you are so bent out of shape about, was nothing more than a big teenage-ish makeout session. Brandy spat out. I stared at Brandy, who went on after a pause. Okay, Lisa said there was some petting. More hesitation from Brandy, and she got felt up a bit, perhaps some more action. But Lisa said it over the clothes. I kept looking at Brandy, who mumbled, possibly a little more. I stared hard at Brandy, who finally blurted out, well, okay, maybe Lisa gave him a BJ too, but it was a quick one in the car, just on the way home. Hell, Lisa made him wear a condom even for that. But that was it. No real sex, God's truth. You cannot expect Lisa to get that big lug all worked up and leave him without relief. Come on, Vince, even old Bill Clinton, the president you voted for twice by the way, said BJ, do not count as sex. Brandy, you do know that this is not making the situation any better. Jesus H. Christ, Vince. You've been with Lisa for 14 years, married for what, a dozen years? Once Lisa gets an opinion in her head, nothing can change it. Lisa does not see what she did as cheating. And it's a moot point anyway. Lisa was disappointed with her big date night and had no intention of doing it again. She was bringing that side of beef home, so both of them could tell you nothing went on. Something did go on. Not only the BJ, which you glossed over so quickly. Something more important. Lisa disrespected this family, our marriage, and me. I have lost any trust in Lisa, and even if I still loved Lisa, I cannot trust her. Without trust, there can be no marriage. Lisa had the chance several times to choose between her family and her date. Now it is my choice and I choose my family. Vince, you cannot be that dense. You will not have any family. Lisa will make your life hell. All because you can't get over Lisa having an exaggerated spit-swapping makeout session with some giant preppy. Hell, I bet you have done just as bad at some drunken office Christmas parties. I do not know what kind of Christmas parties your office has, but no Secret Santa has ever got me a Hummer for a under $20 gift. BJ would have been a lot better present than a fruitcake or movie tickets. Thanks for the legal advice, Brandy. This conversation is over. Appreciate you stopping by. Do you want me to get your kids? Brandy turned to walk down the drive. No, Tommy can have them until Monday. Tell Tommy they both need new shirts for the play at school next week. A few days. What do you mean I might lose my kids? I tried not to shout at my shark sitting across the desk in his law office. I just want you to be prepared, my shark explained. Unfortunately, we drew Judge Reynolds. This judge thinks motherhood is next to sainthood, and a mother can do no wrong. But, Lisa has a restraining order against her. Charges of assault on me. The police. She has not seen the kids in 3 months. Does not matter to Judge Reynolds. The restraining order was not issued by this court. The assault charges against your wife have not gone to trial, so Lisa is still innocent. If convicted, we could file for a change, but right now I want you to prepare for the worst. This is like a nightmare, I said, slumping into the chair. What are my chances? Not good, my shark admitted. I have seen this judge give kids to drug-addicted crack mothers. Reynolds is an old codger who thinks we live in the Beaver Cleaver world of Ozzie and Harriet, and he should have left the bench years ago. He has been in that court so long everyone just tolerates him. The only way mothers do not get the kids in his court is if they are dead or in jail. After I left the law office, I flipped open my cell phone and explained the situation to my brother. What are you gonna do? Tommy asked. I think my only option is to go commando. I switched the cell to my other ear. Grab as much cash as I can, load up the kids in the car with fuel, and head for the border. Vince, you can't do that. That is no life for your family. Let me talk to Lisa. Maybe I can get her to give you shared custody. You can try Tommy, but Lisa does change her mind easy. I think I better saddle up the troops and head out early in the morning. Vince, I need to be at the apartment tonight. Don't do anything stupid. Let me talk to Lisa. Maybe Brandy can help. Do not do anything until I get there in the morning, Okay, Tommy, I gotta go. I closed shut my cell phone and headed home. It was 3 a.m. when I heard her car pull up in the driveway with the lights out. They were moving quickly and talking in hushed tones, but I could make out Lisa by her height and Brandy by her figure. They made their way to the front door and fumbled to open it with the new keys. I wondered if they had begged, borrowed, or stolen Tommy's house keys. I retreated to the boys' room, locked the door, and placed a chair against the knob. The boys were next door at Mrs. Rodriguez. I sat down in a chair facing the door and picked up the home phone, punching in 3 numbers. 911, what is your emergency? I have intruders that have broken into my house. Can you send help right away? I am dispatching a car now. Are you in a safe place? I am locked in my boys' room. I think my wife and her boyfriend are back to beat me up again. How long before the police arrive? Stay calm, sir, they are on their way. I heard footsteps come up the stairs and try the doorknob. Shit, it's locked. It sounded like Lisa's voice. The a-hole must be in there. There ain't no one in the master bedroom. This was Brandy. Lisa now gave up any pretense of stealth and started pounding on the door. Damn it, Vince, open this door. You are not taking my children. Operator, they are pounding on the door. What do I do? How far are the police? Stay calm, sir, they are on their way. Can you escape? Get away anyplace? The pounding continued and was getting louder. No, operator, I am on the 2nd floor and the locked door is the only way out. Both Brandy and Lisa were pounding on the door now. Then one of them began kicking at the door. I held out the phone so the 911 operator could hear the noise. Got him at Vince, if I have to break this door down, I will. Open up now. When I smash this door down, I will kick your butt for real this time. I really was frightened now of what was coming. So it was not an act that had fear in my voice as I spoke into the phone. Operator, I am scared shitless. Where are the cops? Stay calm, sir, they are on their way. Just then one of Lisa's long legs broke through the bottom of the door facade. God damn it, Vince, that hurt. I am going to finish you. Operator, they have broken through the door. What do I do? Where is that police car? Sir, they are almost there. Even the 911 operator's voice was on the edge of panic. Do you have any way to defend yourself? A chair, desk, club, anything to secure your safety? They were both kicking at the door now. Sir, you need to do something to protect yourself. Help is almost there. Do something? Okay, yeah. I muttered into the handset as Lisa and Brandy kicked away the bottom of the door, their shoes now making small holes bigger. I put the phone handset down on the carpet facing the door. Taking a deep breath to stop my shaking, I picked up the double-barrel shotgun laying across my lap. I had not fired the 12 gauge since before my dad passed, and wondered if the shells were still good. One way or another, I was going to end things now. A portion of the door's facade bottom had just been kicked away when I cocked the shotgun, swung the muzzle around, and pulled both triggers. The loud boom of the double-barrel shotgun blast echoed off the walls and deafened me. Then my ears started to ring. I coughed and tried to clear my vision of all the gunpowder smoke in the small room. It seemed like forever, but as my hearing came back, I heard sirens in the distance and a frantic operator's voice on the phone shouting out over and over, "Sir, are you there? Sir, are you there? Sir, answer me. Are you there?" I coughed again, clearing my throat before picking up the phone. "Send ambulances, we need medical attention." With that, I dropped the phone handset onto the floor again. The bottom of the door and parts of frame was gone and peppered with holes. Beyond, the door moaning could be heard. I got out of my chair and unlocked the door, slowly opening it, what was left of it. Lisa and Brandy lay in heaps. One of Brandy's feet was a mangled mess. Both Lisa and Brandy's legs from the thigh down were torn and bleeding. At the last second, I had lowered the muzzle from fatal chest level to knee level. Still, Lisa had a nasty gash on her face where a piece of splintered door had hit her. Police came swarming and the house guns drawn. I dropped my shotgun and raised my hands. One officer cuffed me while two others started first aid on Brandy and Lisa. As I was hauled down the steps, I passed paramedics bringing stretchers up the stairs. The next few days were lost in a fog. I was kept in lockup until late the next day when Tommy arranged bail. I got a break, and the same ASA who done my restraining order caught this case. After talking to the detectives and reviewing the 911 tape, my shooting was ruled justified and the charges dropped. Lisa and Brandy were denied bail, but it did not matter as both were in the county hospital recovering from various surgeries to repair the damage from the shotgun blast and door shrapnel. Tommy got his boys, and they and his dog Candy moved in. My sons were delighted with the new addition of their cousins full-time, plus Uncle Tommy and Candy. Our house was a virtual boys' club. They grumbled about the extra chores and clean up, but everyone pitched in. As long as all the homework was done and house cleaned up, there was sports on the TV, sodas in the fridge, video games in the den, and the toilet seat was always up. The home became an almost sitcom man cave, and all of our sons' friends flocked to hang out here. Tommy also caught a break and got possession of both the boys and his house while Brandy was in the county hospital. Tommy put his house up for sale at a price so low that he got a buyer even in this down market. Vince, that monstrosity was never my house anyway. Brandy picked it out, and I could barely afford it when Brandy and I were together. I did not make any money off the sale, but having that white elephant off my back is payment enough. My brother was almost giddy with glee. Besides, Brandy was to get 1/2 of the profits. Well, 1/2 of zero is her cut. All good things have to come to an end, and the lady across my kitchen table was it. She was a public defender in handling Lisa's case. She had shown up at my doorstep and asked to speak with me. The ASA likes cases which are neat and tidy, she began. But this case is like a bad onion. The more you peel away the layers, the more messy it gets. I kept my mouth shut and kept my hand on the table. For example, she continued, the night of the shooting, both Lisa and Brandy were told you were planning to take her sons and flee the country. I started to speak, but she held up her hand to stop me. Yes, I read the report. There were no signs of you and the children planning to flee. No packed suitcases, no large cash withdrawals on your account or credit cards. Passports still in the safe deposit box. Your car only had a quarter tank of gas, plus the children were on a sleepover next door. She looked up, yet you were ready and waiting with a loaded shotgun. It was an old shotgun with old shells that belonged to my father. The shotgun shells turned out were old and powder weak. I assume you have a point here? I asked. Yes, a good argument could be made that you planned to ambush your wife, lured her into a trap. I know earlier you sent your brother over to tell Lisa you were taking the kids and running away. I did no such thing, I countered. My brother volunteered to see if he could talk some sense into Lisa about the divorce and custody. I did not know what he was going to tell Lisa. You knew Lisa would not stand by and allow you to take the children. That was the one thing that you were counting on to get Lisa to violate the restraining order. That is my second point. The restraining order may have been issued under bogus conditions. You know you really are dreaming if you think you can sell this? Well, I can try. Your brother Tommy was in the house before the police arrived. Who is say he is not the one who hit you to make it look as if your wife and her friend caused the injuries. If I can push that, then the restraining order, resisting arrest, all of it becomes suspect and reasonable doubt starts to grow. Nice try, but cell phone records will show my brother was not in the house and arrived only a minute or two before the police. I can tell you Tommy would pass any polygraph test on that account. Well, that much was true, I thought. Do I look some kind of chicken to you that would allow himself to be a punching bag for anyone? I did not say that. I am only thinking out loud that a man who loves his children so much may try to twist the system to his advantage. I leaned back in the chair, asked my brother Tommy how fair the system was to him in his divorce and attempts to be a father to his children. She ignored my answer. The ASA has offered a deal to both Brandy and Lisa. Whoever flips first and testifies against the other get reduced charges, minimum jail time, and probation. It is in my client and your wife Lisa's best interest to take that deal. However, the ASA needs a win and also to know you will not oppose the deal and cause problems. Why would I do anything for Lisa? She betrayed me, the marriage and our family in the vilest and most cruel manner possible with both malice and forethought, as you legal people say. Vince, right now everything is going for you. It is true if Lisa is convicted you will have a slam dunk for custody of your boys. But think of this, do you really want your children growing up without a mother? Do you really need to have Lisa sit in a prison for the next decade? Also, it only takes one man-hating lady on the jury to hang this trial. If I get a not guilty verdict, then none of this is going to be make a hill of beans to a divorce judge. I cut in with as much sarcasm as I could muster. Are you trying to threaten me or scare me? I just want to be sure, because I can't tell. Neither. I want you to look at this a couple of ways. Number one is practically you go along and Lisa pleads guilty, gets time served, 120 days in county, plus 4 years probation. Thus, your custody of the children is assured in the divorce. Second is compassion. Your sons are going to need a mother in the future. Soon they are going to start to have other matters that need a mother's touch, such as dating. They might be okay now, but think about how will they feel in time when they discover dad send their mother to prison. Now last is history and consideration. You two loved each other for over 14 years, and Lisa gave you 2 wonderful children. That should count for something. She paused. Vince, are you a religious man? Raised Catholic, church every Sunday, fish on Friday, altar boy and everything. Isn't there something about hate the sin, love the sinner? Lady, I do hate the sin, but loving the sinner is not going to happen. Then there is also this. She dug into her briefcase and gave me a file. The file was a bunch of medical jargon about Lisa and blood results, medication, doses, none of it I could understand. I put the file back on the table. I am an accountant and deal with numbers. This is all gobbledygook to me. Can you explain this in layman's terms? Sure, after the surgery Lisa was quite depressed, not uncommon. I mean after being shot and waking up handcuffed to a hospital bed. So she was placed on self-harm watch and a full medical and psych workup done. Lisa was found to not only have depression, but be also slightly manic. Probably been that way most of her life. The onset of early menopause threw her hormones out of whack and may account for her strange out-of-character behavior. We were lucky to have doctor doing some research on the subject looking at her chart. They have her on medication and tweaked her dose to get everything back to an even keel. Wonderful. You are going to blame this on PMS and hot flashes. I threw up my hands. No, neither one of those. This is not an excuse, but more of reason for some of Lisa's unusual behavior and poor decision-making. This does not abdicate responsibility. It is like a diabetic who does not go to a doctor for insulin. If this person drives but passes out due to low blood sugar and runs into a car full of nuns holding babies, the diabetic is still responsible for their actions and consequences, as their original decision started the chain of events. I got out of my chair and went to the window over the sink. The boys were chasing candy around the backyard in some game. I thought it was true Lisa had given me 2 great kids, but I still felt no love for her anymore. Yet did I owe Lisa one for old time's sake? I turned back to the kitchen table. Ms. Public Defender, you could talk birds out of the trees. I will not stand in the way of any deal you get, Lisa. But here are my terms. I started to tick off the conditions on my fingers. Lisa does not oppose any part of the divorce. She gets to keep her car and 35% of what's left of our savings after divorce court costs and my shark's legal fees. So saving aren't going to be much. I will even continue to carry Lisa on my health insurance, but she pays the deductibles. Full custody of my boys and determination of visitation goes to me. I keep the house and 401k. Done, she said, picking her briefcase and getting up from the table. Send the papers to my attention, and I will see Lisa gets them at our next meeting. Brandy did not fare so well. Brandy refused to take any deal offered. Brandy felt if she could beat the rap, the original terms of her divorce settlement would go back in place. The ASA piled up the charges: breaking and entering, conspiracy, attempted kidnapping of the children, burglary, and a slew of other counts. She was not convicted on all counts, but enough guilty verdicts stuck that Brady ended up going down for 7 to 10 years. We were told with good behavior she might be out in 4 years. Lisa did her 120 days in the county jail. She wrote the kids often and asked me not to bring them to visit. Lisa did not want her children to see her in a jail setting. At first, she sent me long rambling letters. A lot of it was a repeat of what her public defender had said the meds had helped, how she had battled the blues all her life. She was better now. Blah, blah, blah. I never answered back. I could not see the point. Oddly enough, it was Tommy who was her biggest supporter and kept pushing me to give Lisa a break. While he knew we would never get back together, he bugged me to lighten up and look at the good times Lisa and I had together. I guess that was the reason I was parked outside the county jail 120 days later awaiting Lisa's release. Lisa had lost a lot of weight and was walking with a limp. One foot still had a walking cast, and she had a wicked scar that went from the bottom of her right cheek to just above her right eye. Lisa's hair was cut shorter and had some gray in it. Lisa was surprised when I came up and touched her arm. "Come to gloat," Lisa said in a monotone voice. "Nope," I replied, taking her small gym bag. "Come to give you a ride." County Correction Administrator said a bus comes in a few hours. A stop is in center of town. YWCA nearby. A lot of the girls stay there when they first get out. "Well, my car is right there if you do not want to wait." Lisa shrugged and followed me into the car. After I opened the passenger door and get her belted in, Lisa gave me a piece of paper with an address. "It is the halfway house I can stay at if the YWCA is full up," Lisa explained. The address was in a part of town you better not be caught unarmed. I shivered, belted up, and drove off. Lisa was silent for the first few minutes, then without looking at me said, "You didn't have to shoot me, you know. Well, you didn't have to cheat on me, try to take my kids and bankrupt me, you know." I got a hold of myself and took a breath. "Lisa, is this really how you want our first conversation to go?" "No," she said, and was silent for the rest of the drive. Lisa was slumped in her seat most of trip, but sat up when we drove into a familiar part of town. "Vince, this is not the way to the YW." "Yeah, I know. Gotta make a stop first." "Please, Vince, it has been a long day. I just want to get settled in and get a plan together for the next few days. I need to find someplace to live and get a job," Lisa snorted. "Gainful employment is part of my probation terms. Going to be tough in this economy. Who is going to hire an unskilled housewife and ex-con to boot?" I turned the corner and pulled into the parking lot of a nice condo complex. Lisa's eyes got wide as she saw her car parked in of the spots. She sucked in a deep breath, seeing all boys and Tommy standing next to her car with two big hand-lettered signs, "Welcome, Mom." Lisa went into female mode, scrambling in her purse for makeup while pulling down the visor mirror at the same time, trying to pat her hair into place. "Oh my God, no, Vince. I look a mess. I can't see the boys like this." "Lisa, relax. The kids have been waiting to see you. They even washed and waxed your car," I said, pulling in and killing the engine. The boys were all over the car, pulling Lisa out of the car and babbling about her new place, how it had a swimming pool, was right around the block from the house. They pulled Lisa into a little one-bedroom condo. It was set up with all her stuff from the house, from bed sheets and dishes to school pictures of them on the wall. It was overwhelming for Lisa, and she kept hugging the boys while walking around the condo with tears streaming down her cheeks. After a while, the boys got restless and asked Lisa if they could go play in the pool. Tommy agreed to take them, and that left Lisa and I alone. "Vince, what is catch?" Lisa said, sitting in one of her favorite chairs we had transplanted from the house. "No catch, Lisa," I said, sitting at a kitchen table. "Can't have the mother of my children living in a slum. Mr. Alvarez, our boss, bought this place years ago for his daughter. She is married now, and the market is so bad he does not want to sell it. We paid 6 months of the lease for you in advance. After that, the rent is on you. We are not together anymore, nor will we be. But we are connected by the boys no matter if we like it or not." My God, I do not know what to say. Lisa had tears in her eyes. "That is a load off my mind and gives me some breathing space to find a job." About that, I started looking at my hands. "Tommy thinks that all the boys and us living together is great, but the atmosphere has a bit too much testosterone. We live like bears with furniture." This got a chuckle out of Lisa. "Anyway," I continued, "we need a female touch to help out. The boys all pitch in, but last week Tony put his red baseball jersey in the washer with Tommy's white boxers. Tommy may be secure with his manhood, but having pink underwear was a bit too much even for him." "What are you saying, Vince?" Lisa was sitting on the edge of her chair. "I am saying we have a business proposition for you. You become basically a den mother and keep a rein on our clan cooking, cleaning, laundry, whatever you feel needs to be done. This all on the up and up. I had a contract drawn up with tax ID and everything." "You mean I get to see my kids every day?" Lisa's eyes were wide now. "We would need to talk about your hours, but sure. The house is a 3 minutes walk around the second block." This was going well, though. "Oh, that is wonderful." Lisa came out of her chair and embraced me in a big hug. At first it felt good. Then memories of that night, she walked out the door, burst into my mind like a movie scene playing over and over, and my whole body went rigid. Lisa did not seem to notice when "Can I start?" was her only question. And so it went for the next 2 years. Lisa had her own key and was at the house every morning before the boys were up to make them breakfast and pack their lunches. Lisa left after putting the boys to bed. She lingered around after putting the boys were down the first few weeks, but I felt uncomfortable around her, and she seemed to sense it. Good news was the house was always neat, sink clear, and everyone had clean laundry. There were a few rough spots as the boys had to get used to putting the toilet seat down. Tommy's Doberman Candy and Lisa came to an understanding after a few days. Candy was leery of Lisa and protective of the boys, but after lots of chew treats and milk bones, Candy stopped giving Lisa the eye and growling when Lisa came into the house. We even saw Candy wag his stubby tail at Lisa after a week of doggy treats. Lisa, for her part, was only absent when she had to report to her probation officer or doing physical rehab on her legs. She still limped a little. Lisa also started taking some classes at the community college, both online and during the day when the boys were at school. Lisa was at all of the boys' sporting events and school functions, even coming to church with us on Sundays. Tommy's boys came to calling her Aunt Mom. I encouraged her to get out on her own, but she once said, "Vince, I am almost 40-year-old ex-con gimp on drugs to keep from flipping out. Plus I own this carved-up face. Yes, I see how people stare at me when they think I am not looking. I read that a lady after 35 has a better chance of being on a hijacked plane than finding a man." She laughed. "I wish my odds were that good, especially as I had a good man." I countered with, "Lisa, we both need to move on. You have a lot to offer, and both Tommy and I do not wish you to feel you need to stay here forever." I saw Lisa was self-conscious of her appearance. She had gotten rid of all the outfits that showcased the legs she was once so proud of. Lisa would not even wear shorts or a bathing suit. Even taking the kids swimming, Lisa always had on a baggy tracksuit and never went into the water. It was always either pants or maybe a long dress almost touching the floor. The images of Lisa walking out that fateful day became less vivid, yet I still had no real feelings for her. I felt like anyone would toward a close acquaintance. Then it happened. Tommy had become very popular with all the single soccer moms and divorcees of the boys on the various teams we coached. Most of the ladies just wanted some attention and a good time every once in a while. Tommy was never serious about his relationships, but always respectful. He became the go-to man for charity events and functions, or just a fun night out, or overnight as sometimes was the case. This particular Saturday, Tommy had taken the boys to one of their friends' house for a birthday party. I had just finished some sweaty lawn work and was in the shower. Occupied, I yelled out as I heard the bathroom door open. Lisa's voice came through the steam. "I'm just putting some clean towels on the racks. I'll be done in a few minutes," I answered, lathering up the shampoo on my hair. "Jesus, Vince, it's not like I never saw you naked," Lisa voiced floated back. "True enough," I muttered as I started to rinse off. Moments later, I felt a cold whoosh of air cut through the steam in the shower and heard the shower door close. I sensed someone just for a second before a female body pressed against my back and 2 arms encircled my waist. "What the hell?" I gasped, trying to get rinse soap out of my eyes and turn around at the same time. A female form molded to my back and a soft chin was on my shoulder. Then Lisa's voice whispered in my ear, "Vince, please, please, I've waited so long for this, please." I quickly walked out of the bathroom. "Lisa, listen. I used to love you." I felt her tense up. "You may be the mother of my kids, but this may be a mistake. I cannot love you anymore. We have too much history together. It would be best if we found other arrangements. Let me talk to Tommy. I know Mr. Alvarez, our boss, is looking for a person to help his mom. You would get free room and board, still go to school. They have a pool and the kids could come over anytime." "No, Vince, please. I just need this right now in my life. You must understand that. It has nothing to do with you or the kids." That phrase, "I just need this right now in my life. You must understand that. It has nothing to do with you or the kids," sent an electric shock through my body. I sat straight up and moved to the edge of the bed. The image of Lisa saying that sentence to me while dressed in tight jeans, putting on lipstick with her CFM heels in this same room, flashed into my brain. The picture was so vivid I blinked and rubbed my eyes to make sure it was not real. "Lisa, the last time I heard the sentence from you, I just need this right now in my life. You must understand that. It has nothing to do with you or the kids. We were in this same room and you were getting ready for your date. The date that ended our marriage. Hell, I think I was sitting at the same spot on this bed." Lisa rearranged the bed sheets to cover her legs. She was still uneasy about showing her damaged legs. Lisa put her arms around me from behind and rested her head on my shoulder before speaking. I am not a bad person, Vince. Yeah, I know. The old cliché, you're a good person who did a bad thing. That was a long time ago. I know it does not help, but it was not really me back then. Well, I really wish it wasn't me back then, but it was. Vince, I go to church with you every Sunday. Can't you forgive and forget? It is not about forgiveness and forgetting. It is about trust. Lisa, even as well as things have been between us, the once bitten, twice shy analogy still applies. Lisa's tears were dripping on my shoulder. Okay, Vince, I understand. I do not like it, but I understand. I guess it is too much to ask after all we have been through. But I do not want to lose what I have with you and the boys. Please, let's just keep on the same. Let's just keep it simple. I thought hard for a few moments. Okay, works for me, I said. Lisa got off the bed and started walking out. Did Lisa and I ever get back together? Depends on how you look at it. We have not got remarried and Lisa still keeps her little condo. The boys love the pool. Lisa sleeps over if there is a late night event going on. Lisa's self-esteem went up when she got asked out a few times, but to my surprise, she turned these dates down. Lisa claims to be comfortable with our arrangement and said she has no intention of screwing it up. As for me, I have my great kids, a fine brother and nephews and a dog, plus clean clothes. Life is too short to worry about the other stuff. Now let's check out Lisa's side. Damn, this cougar is good, he exclaimed. I ain't ever had a chick this way before. Hey, is that cougar going to do me next? Came a voice from the driver into the back seat. I heard the other head reply, hell, I don't know, just pay attention to the road until I am done. I want to enjoy my ride. If you are wondering how a married, middle-aged mother of two and faithful wife ended up giving a BJ in the backseat of car, my ex-husband Vince got most of the basic facts right, but a lot of the problems were based on miscommunication, added with some medical issues on my part. Now, I am not saying that what happened was my husband Vince's fault. A lot of it would have been avoided. Like most things that go wrong in life, hindsight is always 20/20ths, and we all wish we could have gone back in time and done things differently. I needed a time machine for a month before the date I ended up in that backseat. 3 weeks earlier, Vince and I were in bed. Tommy, who was my husband Vince's brother, had just been over that evening to borrow some money to buy his kids some new shoes. Tommy had got the short end of the stick in his divorce with Brandy. His ex-wife was really doing a number on him, squeezing him dry with money and putting up roadblocks every chance she had to prevent him seeing his sons. Vince was always in a sour mood after talking to Tommy about his ex-wife. I was pleased when Vince told me Tommy was going to hang the ceiling fan and install the tankless hot water heater. My husband was many things, but a handyman was not one of them. Sounds like we got the better part of the deal on that one. I fluffed up a pillow. Tommy certainly did not get any deal with Brandy, Vince said, sliding closer to me. I think the next statement I made started the whole mess. Well, it is not all Brandy's fault. Whoa, Vince sat up. You want to tell me how Brandy cheating on my brother and screwing him over is not her fault? I thought a second before speaking. I had to explain this in a way that Vince would understand. Brandy was wrong to cheat. There is never any reason to cheat. But your brother overreacted. I was brought up in a very disciplined household. Everything was black and white. We were taught to be principled. I felt cheating was wrong. It was me who discovered and confronted Brandy, Tommy's wife, about her cheating. When Brandy refused to stop or tell Tommy, I told Tommy. There was no hesitation. I just pulled out my cell phone and called Tommy right in front of Brandy. However, I still think Tommy went too far after he found out. Overreacted? Vince was not agreeing with me. I would need to explain this in better detail. So I said, you know, the courts almost always give custody to the mother. Thousands of studies show children are most always better off with their mothers. Say what you will about Brandy, but she always was a good mother. I thought that would get Vince to see that being a good mother was one thing, and the time to yourself as a woman was another thing altogether. The two were not related in my mind, completely different compartments. Lisa's studies also show children are better living as a family with a mother and father. How is Brandy breaking up the family with a divorce making Brandy a good mother? I was glad Vince had brought up the divorce. This would prove my side of the discussion. Brandy did not file for divorce. Tommy did. Brandy didn't want a divorce. I do not know what Vince was thinking because he missed the divorce angle completely. Lisa, you know the stories as well as I do. Brandy was not even sorry. She refused to stop going out with guys and wanted Tommy to stand down until she got ready to come back. How could the man I love so much be so dense sometimes? Is Tommy better off now? It was only 3 guys. One of them was only a BJ. Brandy told me she was almost done anyway and wanted to get back to Tommy. Well, that should have made it all better for Tommy. He was getting sarcastic now. Vince always did that when he did not have anything to back up his statements. I tried to calm him down. Vince, don't be so dramatic. It was only sex and bad sex from what Brandy told me. Remember after Vince Jr.'s birth? I had complications and was sick to my stomach for almost every day for 2 months. I knew you had needs and gave you a free pass to get laid. I even scoped out some of the ladies at Tony's school to fill in. That should settle the issue, though. Vince knew I loved him so much I would do anything to see him happy. Not with just words, but deeds. Lisa, I love you, but sometimes you drive me crazy. I remember that time. For one, your hormones were all over the place after Vince's junior birth, so I did not take you seriously. Number 2, our wedding vows included forsaking all others, not to mention in sickness and in health. I take those vows seriously. You said there was no excuse for cheating. Are you now saying there are times when cheating is okay? Because I do not. I could not believe Vince was trying to put words in my mouth. He knew how I felt about cheating. Had I not proved it with Brandy and Tommy? I figured I better reassure him. I still think cheating is never okay. I tried to find a way that Vince could comprehend, maybe make it more personal with my own experiences. I understand a bit of what Brandy was feeling. Brandy felt she was getting old and was seen as nothing but a mother and Tommy's wife. I do not agree with her cheating, but understand why Brandy did it. Surely Vince could see things from a female point of view, if only for few seconds of this conversation. Lisa, I think my head is going to explode. How can you agree with Brandy cheating, but believe it was wrong? My God, Vince still didn't get it. I was going to have to spell it out to him like one of our grade school children. Men are so dense sometimes. Well, if Brandy had told Tommy, it would not have been cheating. If Brandy had told Tommy how she was feeling, maybe they could have worked something out. Then there would have been no cheating involved. Work things out? Not cheating if you tell your partner? Lisa, you cannot be serious. If Brandy wanted to play cowboy and schoolmarm or cheerleader and football star, Tommy would have been game. But sex with another guy never gonna happen. Finally, Vince was beginning to understand. He never said anything about it being wrong if we told our partner, only about his brother Tommy thinking it was wrong. Vince did not come right out and say yes, but he did not say no. Still, I better make sure we were on the same page. Maybe convince him that Tommy was wrong in his thinking also. Tommy made the choice and has to live with the consequences. Again, you gotta ask, is Tommy better off now? Look at it logically. What Brandy did was wrong by not telling him, but it was already done. Nothing could change the past. No way to unring that bell. The decision Tommy had to make was dealing with his and his family future. Seriously, is he doing better now than if he had let slide a couple of stupid, meaningless sex sessions that did not threaten him in any way and only pumped up Brandy's self-esteem? Okay, Lisa, what is the number of sex partners that Tommy should let slide? 3, 5, 10? Typical male response, everything revolves around their tool. I had to get his head out of this thought. Now you are being silly, Vince. It is different with women than with men. I saw a few grays last week, and it really got me down. Ladies are always judged by their looks. I figured if he knew how I was feeling, Vince would get the picture. Lisa, what is the big deal? You always look great. If a few gray hairs is bothering you, then head off to your favorite salon and pick out the hair color of your choice. There it was. Now Vince and I seem to be reading from the same book. At least he was trying to see it from a female perspective. If Vince was okay with me going to a saloon to feel better about myself, he would be okay with other things that would make me feel better about myself. I just needed him to comprehend the idea a bit more. It is more than that. After a certain age, women become invisible. No one looks at us, wants us. It is like we are not even there. It should not matter, but it does. I know men and women are getting more equal than in our parents' days. But until a lady can walk around with a beer belly and a thinning hair yet think they are still sexy, it is not going to change. So cheating with a strange shithead is going to make you equal. Make the marriage better? Oh no. Now Vince was back to the my PP is bigger than your PP. Don't men ever grow up? It's like they never leave the high school locker room. I knew I could get him to see the bigger picture, the relationship that was so important. The keeping each other happy. Vince, it is not about the sex, and it isn't cheating if the other partner knows about it. I reached down and fondled him. You and I are great in bed, and you know that. I had to get his brain to understand sex was just a means to an end. The end being that good feeling, that high, whether from your partner or someone else. Listen, Vince, it is about that feeling of being admired, the thrill of for the first time. Something new, a different feeling, that adrenaline rush of being wanted, of deciding to go or not. Lisa, you know that Tommy adored Brandy before the divorce, and you know that the kids and I are your #1 fan club, and we adore you. But you are saying cheating will make? Vince hesitated for a moment. Lisa, do you have something to tell me about the past? I felt Vince's heart-on deflate. Then it hit me. Vince thinks I cheated on him. He thinks I went out with someone else and never told him. Well, that would be cheating. I better get this solved quickly and put an end to that type of thinking now. I shifted closer to Vince and worked to bring his mind back to life. Vince, I have never cheated on you and never will. I knew how to press his buttons. We had wild sex, and then I cuddled next to Vince. I wanted Vince to know how lucky we were, so whispered in my hubby's ear. Just think Tommy is missing all the good times with Brandy like we have all because of some stupid dates in the past he cannot do anything about. I was so glad we had this conversation. Vince was acting strange and said, Lisa, you are freaking me out. He rolled over away from me. Brandy is squeezing Tommy so much for money he is going to lose it soon. You can't get blood out of a stone. And he turned off the light. I lay awake in bed and thought how lucky I was to have married Vince and not Tommy. The entire conversation Vince has talked about how Tommy thought Brandy needing some time to herself was cheating and how his brother would not tolerate it. Even if Tommy was told beforehand that Brandy needed some time to herself, Vince never once said he would object, only about Tommy. I knew this meant Vince loved me enough to give me the space to do the things I needed to feel good. The whole discussion Vince had never said, no, that could only mean yes. I moved closer and put my arms around my snoring husband. It was both easy and hard to find what I wanted. A website with people from local university was easy to find, yet culling out the candidates was hard. Most responses to my ad were crude and some just too cheesy and phony. Over 2 weeks and I got the number to a manageable level and started doing online chats and narrowed it down to 4 guys for a face-to-face at the food court in the local mall. That eliminated it down to just 2 guys. In the second round of interviews, one of the contenders, Randy, had something that clinched the deal. Hi, Mrs. F. Randy said. He was a communications major and on a wrestling scholarship. He was a large kid and had trouble sitting in the small booth at the mall food court. I know you said your old man is okay with this, but I got something that may help you out. What would that be, Randy? I had on casual clothes and a scarf over my head with big sunglasses. I felt like a modern-day Mata Hari. Well, see that chick over there? Randy pointed to a girl across the court who waved at us. Well, she really likes older dudes. I thought maybe we could set your old man up with her. You know, give him something to keep him busy. Are you pimping your girlfriend out, Randy? I lowered my glasses to look at the girl. She was a bit on the chubby side, but cute with long dark brown hair and an average body. No, Mrs. F. Randy stuttered. Amy and me are just friends. Friends with benefits, but just friends. She has kind of got daddy issues and worked her way through most of the facility. Amy is okay with this, swear to God. This might work, I thought. I was tall, almost 6 feet, blonde, slender. I had long legs I was proud of and loved to showcase them, dressing to highlight my gams any chance I could. Amy was the complete opposite, small, dark-haired, and curvy. They say men get tired of the same thing. Maybe I could treat Vince to Amy as a gift for being so understanding and letting me do this. Of course, Randy was completely opposite of Vince. Where Vince was short and dark, Randy was well over 6 foot and had almost white blonde hair. I had been down with the blues the past few days, but now felt my excitement start to grow. Deal, I said and slid some papers across the table at him. These are forms for a medical exam to make sure you don't have any STDs. Go to this clinic. I have the form number and can see the results online. You wear a protection no matter what and pick me up at 9:30 sharp day after tomorrow. Got it? Yeah, Randy replied. But if I'm getting a medical exam, why do I have to wear a protection? Because I do not know what kind of benefits you and your friend there, I pointed at Amy, who was eating a burger, are going to have after you take the test. These terms are non-negotiable. We clear? Sure. Standing up, I took out a small index card and handed it to Randy. This is my address and cell phone number. I pulled his head to mine and gave him a passionate kiss with just a bit of tongue. Don't get lost and don't be late. I turned around and walked out. It was Friday night and things were going to hell. At first I was giddy as a schoolgirl and could not wait to tell Vince. But last night his car had broken down and he had come home in a foul mood, so I didn't want to say anything. This evening the kids had been a pain to put down, and now tonight of all nights Vince was going to be late coming home. Plus Randy had arrived early with another car full of some guys and girls. Well, at least he is anxious as I am, I thought. I got Randy settled downstairs with a beer and some sports program on the TV. Damn it, Vince, I muttered to myself, rushing to get dressed. Why did you have to work late tonight of all nights? I slipped on a new set of sexy outfits. I did not know if anything was going to happen tonight, but I wanted to look good if I decided to make things happen. I heard Vince's car pull into the driveway. I had to inhale to fit into my pair of skinny jeans. After a few minutes, Vince came bounding up the stairs as I was putting on my lipstick. Lisa, what is the jolly green giant doing in our living room? And what is this nonsense about a date? I wish I had more time, but Vince was laid back, and he would understand the hurry. His name is Randy. He is on the university wrestling team and majoring in communications. I then turned toward Vince. I'm sorry you got home late from work tonight. I wanted to get this out of the way before Randy came over. But I got a rush, so I will give you the quick version. Sit down for a second. I patted on the bed. Vince obeyed, sitting down on our flowered comforter. I thought, this is going well. We had already talked last month about how I felt, and what I needed. Vince had pretty much given me the okay. So I knew I could just give Vince a brief outline about my feelings right now. Vince, I am not getting any younger. I have been a good wife to you for over 12 years, and mother to our children for over a decade. I just need this right now in my life. You must understand that. I felt bad putting that guilt trip on Vince, so I added, it has nothing to do with you or the kids. So you were going to pull a Brandy? Vince's face was all white like the blood had been drained out. Brandy? Why the heck was he talking about Brandy? This was completely different. I was nothing like Brandy. I had to make sure he knew this. No, Vince, what Brandy did was wrong. This is not cheating because I am being very open about what is going on. We talked about this last month. Vince did not look too well. He spat out. Lisa, you are splitting hairs. This is wrong and cheating no matter what you say. I am asking, no telling you as your husband of 12 years and father of your children to stop this nonsense. I think you need a medical workup. This is not you. Was Vince changing his mind at the last second? He couldn't do that. Maybe he was just getting cold feet. I remembered I was a bit nervous when I offered to get Vince a partner when my C-section had put me out of commission in the bedroom. I just needed to hold firm, to be strong for him. I turned away from the mirror and gave Vince my full attention. Well, it is too late now. Randy is already here. Vince did not take that like I expected. Lisa, it is not too late until you walk out that front door. I will take care of Randy. With that, he left the bedroom and headed down the stairs. I grabbed my makeup and hurried after Vince before he did something stupid. As I walked down the stairs, Vince and Randy were standing chest to chest, well chest to waist, as Randy had a good foot on Vince. They looked like two male gorillas in a nature film about to start beating their chests with their fists. Vince, stop that right now. Randy, would you please wait in your car? I will be right out. Randy waited a second, but walked out the door. Later, man. What in God's name had come over Vince? He was acting like a little child, not wanting to share his toys. I tried to stay calm. No use us both getting agitated. Now, Vince, I am sorry you are upset, and I see this is not going as planned. I took a deep breath. We talked about this. I thought you would be more understanding. Well, if he was going to act like a child, maybe I could pacify him with a bribe. I knew what always put a smile on Vince's face. I held up a finger and pointed at him. How is this? If you are still up when I get home, I will give you a bedroom session you will not forget. I gave Vince a sexy leer, turned and wiggled my rear at him. He never turned down a chance to screw me. Sloppy seconds. No thank you, he muttered. I gasped. Vince had never put me down or insulted me like that. Lisa, what have I ever done or said that would make you think I would be all right with this? His voice was tight and I could see he was pissed. I had never seen Vince this upset. It was not in my nature, but I knew I had to make a compromise. Vince had better appreciate it. Fine. I threw up my hands. Vince, you win. Let me go out this one time, and you will see it changes nothing. But if after I return from this date, and tomorrow you are still upset, I won't go out again until we talk about it some more. That was as far as I was willing to go. Vince did not budge. He walked in front of the door. Lisa, this is my offer. You stop this bullshit. Go back upstairs, and we will see a doctor and therapist first thing tomorrow morning. But you walk out that door, we will be done. Over. History. Your choice, your children and I. He pointed out the door. Or that. This had gotten out of hand. If Vince would not respond to a carrot, then I would use a stick. Vince knew I never bluffed. Oh, do not be so dramatic. I picked up my purse. You love me, and the kids too much. I also know you do not want to live like your brother. I checked myself out in the hall mirror. Maybe I was going a little too far with that threat. I would throw him a bone. Besides Vince, I do not even know if anything is going to happen tonight. Even if it does, Randy is clean. But I will make him wear a protection regardless. There, are you happy now? I thought that last part would let Vince save some face. Vince was not buying it. What had gotten into him? No, Lisa, I am not happy now by any stretch, and you will not be in the future if you leave out the door. But Lisa, you are partly right. I do love my kids, and I will not live like my brother. But you walk out that door and my love for you goes out the door too. There was no talking to Vince, and now I was starting to lose my cool. I walked past him and opened the door. I shouldn't have, but I said, you know, Randy told me he had a cute co-ed he knows that has daddy issues, and I was going to hook you up with her. But if you are going to be this way, Forget it. I took a step out the door. The kids are in bed, and what is left of dinner is in the microwave. You have my cell if there is an emergency. I shouldn't have spoiled my surprise gift of Amy, but Vince got me mad and now I was in a bad mood to start the evening, damn him. I walked out before we both did something stupid. We ended up at some old house for a party. At first it was fun. All the young people, their energy, favor, and enthusiasm was refreshing and catching. Amy, the girl with daddy issues, was hanging around me chattering like a magpie and pumping me with questions about Vince. She filling me in on the rave we were going to later. Even though I had a score of years on most of these kids, they treated me nice, and I was actually having a good time. Randy kept his hand on my waist most of the night, and we even did a little make-out session when he caught me coming out of the bathroom. I declined Randy's offer to check out one of the bedroom or see the backseat of his car. I didn't encourage him, but didn't turn him down either when he said we would save it for the rave. The rave was held in a big empty warehouse on the outskirts of town. At the beginning, the loud music, lights, and atmosphere were exciting. It was different dancing with Randy. He was taller than me and I had not looked up at a dance partner since Vince and I got married. However, after a few dances, my head was throbbing because of the beat and the smoke was tearing up my eyes. I escaped to an outside door where there was fresh air and a bit less noise. I now had a bad headache. A bunch of others, kids around me, were smoking, and some couples had paired up in the darkness. I truly was feeling tired and out of place. Hey, baby. I felt Randy's come up behind me and start nibbling on my ear. His big hand circled my waist and started moving his hand all over my body. Randy grinned and pulled me to him, mashing his lips on mine. Damn it, Randy. Give me a second. This was not exactly how I had envisioned my big night. You got the protection, Randy? Shit, man. I left the protection in the car. No glove, no love. I told him. You must wear protection. That's the deal and you know it. You some kind of tease, he growled. I saw the lust and anger reflected in Randy's eyes and figured I better care of things before they got out of hand, so to speak. I'm no tease stud. Here I bet can make you feel better. With that, I put both his hands back on my body. I had not touched another man since Vince and I married. Randy was a bit bigger than Vince, as you would expect given their height and weight differences. Come on, stud. I encouraged him. I stifled a yawn and really wished I had stayed home. I tried to keep a smile off my face. Well, at least Vince and I will have a good laugh about this someday. He bent down to give me a big kiss, saying, "Baby, that was great. You did great." Sure, I thought as I returned his kiss. It took a while, but we finally rounded up all of Randy's friends and headed home. I was in the back seat of Randy's late model car. A friend, Troy, was driving, with Amy in the front seat. Randy and I were engaged in a passionate make-out session, at least on his part. I could have cared less and kept looking at my watch. I would be home soon anyway, and my disaster night out would be a bad memory. The only saving grace is I now knew what I didn't want: any more date nights out. Vince would sure be happy about that. Oh shit, Vince. He was pretty upset when I left. I needed some way to get him to listen to reason, get him back in the fold, convince him nothing went on. He might be a little pissed off about some kissing in the HJ. Oh well, a few days of his favorite meals combined with sex would mellow him out. But would he believe me? I needed something more, a witness. Randy, baby. I pushed him off of me. What, Lisa? I need you to do me a favor. I put my hand over his hand to stop him. I need you to come to my door with me and confirm to Vince we didn't screw, have sex, understand? Let him know no sex took place. Well, that is true enough. Randy laughed. It wasn't for lack of trying on my part, but what do I get out of the deal? He had that look of lust in his eyes again. Amy tossed me those rubbers in the glove box. Amy got a package and turned around, handing them to Randy. Hey, Randy, you going to have sex with her right there in the back seat? Amy asked. Don't see why not, replied Randy. Come on, baby. No deal, I said. My mind was racing for a solution. If I have sex with you now, it defeats the whole purpose. We cannot just lie to Vince. Then how about you let me screw you? Randy offered. I'll just screw you. Amy chimed in from the front seat. That's a good plan. I love it. Randy really knows how to work it. You won't be disappointed. Why are all men so anxious to have sex all the time? Randy was still pulling down on my jeans. I swatted at his hands and tried to move away. I had to find a way out of this, a real puzzle. Get this excited dog some relief so Randy would talk to Vince with me yet. Still keep my principles. How's this? I countered, no screwing, but I'll give you BJ. That way it's not really sex. Randy thought for a minute and said, you sure got a bunch of whacked out rules, but okay, that is good enough for me. I was running out of time, so I tried to do it as early as possible. Amy must have been staring the whole time because she was giving a running commentary to Troy, who was driving. Cougar. I mean Lisa. Randy gasped, sitting back in the seat. That was awesome. Just the best. Hey Randy, Amy exclaimed from the front seat. You saying she is better than me? Randy paused to take a breath. Well, that would be a tough call. Amy didn't seem too insulted and turned to me. Lisa, do ladies your age like it? I took a minute to compose myself. Amy, ladies my age take that little secret with us to the grave. Randy and Troy were following me up the front steps. Troy was complaining about not getting anything like Randy, but Randy told him to shut up. We had left the rest of Randy's friends in the other car. They were anxious to leave and hit an all-night party at some frat house. I was glad to see the lights on in the porch, hallway, and kitchen. Vince must still be up. I would not need to wake him. Lisa, your old man is not going to come out with a 9 and bust a cap in my butt? What? Troy translated. Your husband doesn't have a gun, does he? He is not going to come out here shooting like some Dirty Harry movie? I chuckled. No, Vince is too laid back for that. I made him get rid of all the firearms when our kids started walking. He still has an old shotgun of his dad's, but I do not even think it works. The door was locked. As I started to insert my key, a female Metro police officer opened the door and stepped outside onto the porch. Are you Lisa, husband of Vince, who lives at this house? She asked. Yes. I said. Where is Vince? Why are you here? Where is my husband? Did you and your husband? She looked at Randy and Troy. And any of these men have an altercation with your husband earlier tonight? Yes, we had a little argument. I was starting to get concerned. How is that any of your business? And I am not answering any more of your questions until you tell me where my husband is. Your husband is at the hospital, recovering from his injuries. I need you. She droned on, but I tuned her out. I didn't hear anything after I heard the words Vince, injured, and hospital. I turned to run off the porch for my car and head to the hospital when the officer grabbed my arm, swung me around, and slapped a handcuff on my wrist. What the hell are you doing? I screamed and started struggling. I need to go see my husband. Randy moved in and pushed the officer away. Can't you just let her go? She ain't done nothing. The female officer regained her balance and told Randy to back off. Troy stepped in to back up Randy and went to shove the smaller lady cop. The female officer swung an elbow into Troy's stomach and he doubled over in a groan. Randy grabbed the lady cop in bear hug and said, Chill, witch. Cool down. The officer was still struggling in Randy's grip when Troy came up with his fist cocked to hit her. She stomped on Randy's instep. Randy released her from the bear hug to grab his foot and stumbled into Troy. Suddenly, the screen door slammed open so hard it tore off one of the hinges. Tommy, the brother of Vince, came bounding through the door, plowing into Randy and Troy with a bone-crushing tackle I used to see him teach his young CYO football linebackers. The three of them crashed through the porch, railing onto the front lawn. Tommy got the first few shots in. Then Randy tied him up in some kind of wrestling hold. Randy and Troy started pummeling Tommy on the ground with kicks and punches. The lady cop was calling some officer need whatever into her radio, then jumped into the fray with the three guys. I don't have time for this macho bullshit. I yelled at the scrum. My husband needs me. I walked around the pile heading to my car while pulling out my cell phone to dial Vince. An electric shock started at my butt and spread through my whole body. My knees buckled and I hit the ground. I had not felt such electric pain since I had stuck a fork in the toaster when I was a little girl. My muscles finally unclenched. I turned over to find that lady cop holding some type of space gun. Stay down. Don't move. She was shouting, You are under arrest? A wire from the space gun snaked out to what felt like a damn dart in my body. I stared back at the lady cop. Tommy was still on the ground trying to protect himself, with Randy and Troy kicking at him. A dark blur flew out the partially open screen door with an ear-splitting growl. Candy. Tommy's Doberman Pinscher was on Randy and Troy like a black and tan tornado. Candy was tearing into Randy and Troy so fast. Chunks of flesh and clothing was flying. I saw Troy retreat to the car after trying to fend off a bunch of Candy's bites. Randy was trying to escape from Candy, crab walking backwards as fast as he could. Apparently not fast enough because Candy clamped onto his groin with a full mouth bite. Randy let out a scream so high it sounded like a girl. Car's doors started slamming and Randy's friends joined the fracas. Two tackled the female officer, and I saw another couple pounce on Tommy. One of them stepped on my leg, and another tripped over me as I tried to crawl away from this chaos. Tommy was fighting like a cornered badger, but getting the worst of it. The female cop was struggling under Randy's friends. A large yell rose up from next-door neighbor house, and the cry, First Armored, First Division, Coach Tommy, could be heard as a bunch of young men with crew-cut hair came charging across my lawn like a Greek phalanx with a battering ram. They tore into Randy and his friends. Naturally, I got stepped on again. God, let this nightmare end. I prayed, but I couldn't take my eyes off the battle. Candy had let go of Randy and was snapping and biting at anyone that got near a prone Tommy. I saw our next-door neighbor, young crew cut Juan Rodriguez, take out one of guys from the rave party who was atop the female cop. What the hell was he doing here? Juan was in the army now. Vince and I were at his send-off party. Vince and Tommy had been his CYO football coaches. Randy had recovered and tried to crush Juan by gripping him in a two-handed grip around Juan's waist. Juan head-butted Randy in the face. Randy let go, howling in pain. Juan punched Randy savagely in the kidneys before picking the larger Randy up in a fireman carry and throwing him down hard into my rose bushes. Great. I, though absent-mindedly. Took me all year to get those roses to bloom. Now I got to start all over. The crew cuts were making short work of Randy's friends, tossing them all around. Just when I thought it couldn't get worse, it did. With sirens shrieking and lights flashing, it looked like every police car in the county showed up at the same time. They did not even stop when they got to the house. They drove right up on the lawn. Bullhorns were blaring for everyone to get down on the ground. They were swinging nightsticks at anything that moved. Tommy was trying to pull a snarling Candy into the house. He had just shoved Candy inside and slammed the door when a state trooper cracked him with a nightstick and yanked him back onto the lawn. I was almost run over by a squad car and was trampled on twice this time. I remembered that Vince was hurt and needed me, so I started to limp away. I figured no one would miss me in the confusion. I was almost to the garage when I was hit with that excruciating electric shock again. I was still gasping for air when that damn female cop holding that effing space gun put the handcuff on my other wrist and started to read me my rights. I had never had a parking ticket, so jail was a whole new world for me and not a pleasant one. I could take all the little indignities and absence of privacy, but it was the lack of information that was the worst. What happened to Vince? Was he all right? I hope he did not hurt himself. Did he try to commit suicide? Oh God, no. Then I remembered Vince was a big-time Catholic. Suicide was a sin, and he would never do that. But other questions kept me pacing. Who has my children? The not knowing was driving me crazy. I found out about the charges a day later when we went for a bail hearing. You can imagine my surprise when I was told besides everything else there was a restraining order against me. Vince had been assaulted, and they thought it was me. I could not go home or near my husband or kids. I knew this was a big mistake. I could get this all straightened out if I could talk to Vince. But it was a catch-22. I was not allowed to talk to Vince and see my kids to get the mess cleared up, and the mess couldn't get straightened up until I talked to Vince and saw my kids. It was maddening, this circular logic. Because I was not a flight risk, and it was my first offense, I was able to self-bond after the second day. There is an ATM with cash advance right in the jailhouse lobby. I was horrified when our credit cards were declined. Fortunately, I had one of my old credit cards I kept in the back of wallet for extreme emergencies. The interest for a cash advance was steep, but Vince and I would pay it back as soon as I got this mess cleared up. When I finally exited the county lockup, I felt like hell. I had the same clothes on for 3 days, my skinny jeans with the front buttons missing. I had to hold them closed. I had not bathed for the same time period, and I had eaten nothing but bologna sandwiches and milk 3 times a day in jail. A man came up and verified my name. I thought he was here to give me a ride home. I was shocked when he handed me divorce papers. I sat right down on the steps and cried. How could things get so completely screwed up? Who was putting these crazy ideas in Vince's head? It took me 6 hours to get home. I got lost twice because of the confusing bus routes and ended up walking the last mile home. I threw away my CFM pumps after the first 100 yards. When I got to the house, no one was home and none of my keys worked. A legal envelope taped to the door had a copy of the restraining order and a handwritten note from Vince telling me my car was down the block. I found the car full of most of my stuff. I was utterly exhausted and depressed beyond belief. As I started my car, I saw Vince had at least left me a full tank of gas. I hit an ATM and took as much of a cash advance as my single credit card would allow. I checked into a motel. I knew I had to talk to Vince, but right now I needed to sleep. The best way to get to Vince was through our boys. I would get him to talk to me when he went to see the boys at school. I was so tired I fell asleep before I could even take a shower. Randy was not happy to hear my voice. If I knew it was you calling, I wouldn't have answered the phone, Randy said. I had to get a temporary cell phone. My other one got canceled, I explained. Look, baby. I mean, Lisa. You said your husband was okay with our arrangement. That guy is one whack job. Do you know he claims we beat him up that night? Got pictures and bruises and everything. You know I never touched that guy. Hell, even if I don't get jail time, I might lose my scholarship because of this. Randy, I know. I never thought Vince would go off the deep end like this. But look, if I can talk to him, I know I can convince him nothing happened. Then I can get him to drop all the charges. What do you need me for? I have left a dozen messages for Vince on both our home and his cell phone, trying to explain everything. But he will not pick up or return my calls. We must see Vince in person. Randy, you were there that night. You can confirm no sex happened. Nothing, nada. You ain't gonna mention the little flagpole polishing and chicken head? Randy, that high school stuff is not sex, and we all know it. We need to catch him at my son's school before noon, when Vince plays lunch monitor. What do I get out of the deal? Randy, what? You angling for another BJ? Hell no. It hurts to even put on my underwear. That damn devil dog really did a number on me. I want you to promise me all this shit goes away. No problem, Randy. I got an ace in the hole. Vince and I had an agreement, an understanding about my activities. He freaked out and changed the rules at the last minute. If he and I do not get back on the same page, I will screw him over royal in the divorce. Take the kids, the house, his 401k. Make the alimony and child support so high he will need a ladder to write the check. You would really do that? I would not want to, but I would. Honestly, I am the one that should be ticked off. It was Vince who agreed to everything. He never said no. Then that son of a witch goes and changes the rules at the last second. Besides, it was only a single night. Vince may be pissed at me now, but he loves our boys. No way would he give a rat's shit about it, HJ, if he knows I will take his boys away from him. And I will too, and Vince knows it. I never buff. I am willing to let slide this one time, but this is his last chance. You are one cold witch. What the address? I am not cold, just principled. You got a pin? No. Randy mumbled. Can you text it to me? I gave a big sigh and thought, Vince, damn you, I hope you appreciate what fools I have to deal with because of you. The meeting with Vince at the school went sideways right off the bat. I thought if we could surprise him, Vince would listen to me and get his act together. Vince would not even let me speak and ambushed Randy and I with a bunch of police officers he had sitting our minivan. I was arrested using that phony restraining order and Randy got collared for threatening Vince. That was the final straw. Vince had blown his last chance. I was going to make him pay in spades. Problem is I was cooling my heels in jail, and getting bail was not easy. My parents had passed away long ago after Vince and I married, and I had no siblings. It was true in a breakup that you divide up your friends. No one would give me any help. They all sided with my husband. Good old St. Vince. Coach Vince could do no wrong, everyone thinks. I muttered to myself. Well, that big fat liar was going to get his soon. The next day, my mouth was open wide in surprise when I saw who posted my bail. Brandy, who was Tommy's ex-wife, was dressed fashionably and gave me a big hug when I stepped out into the county lockup lobby. Close your mouth, Lisa. Brandy teased. You will catch flies. Brandy, you look great. I was unsure what to say. Thank you for posting bail. But you have me at a disadvantage. I am a little shocked. Why? Oh, because of that Tommy thing? It wasn't really your fault. Tommy was the one who acted like a shit. I guess I'm glad I found he was so uptight and cared so little about my well-being and feelings. Brandy did a little twirl to show off her attire, like the outfit. I have a part-time job at a little shop downtown. Not even minimum wage, but it doesn't matter. Tommy is paying now for my decade of forced servitude to him. I love being at the shop. I get great deals on the outfits and the customers are just so much fun to be with. Well, you look good, Brandy. And she did too. I hate to take advantage of you some more, but could you lend me some money to get my car out of impound and a few nights for a hotel? Oh, don't be silly. You are coming home with me. No worries about the money. I will just get some more out of Tommy. Brandy grabbed my arm and led me to her car. While walking, Brandy laughed and said, It is funny. Tommy borrows the money from Vince, so it is really Vince who is paying for all this hassle, as he should. Besides, we are both in the same boat now. We were at Brandy's car when I asked her, What do you mean we are in the same boat? You know, getting caught stepping out, having fun, cheating, some people even say. Brandy, you got it all wrong. I was not cheating. Vince and I talked about it. He gave me the green light to date. We did anything to make each other feel happy. At least we used to. Really, Lisa? Brandy looked surprised as she put on her designer sunglasses. I thought those two troll brothers were a couple of peas in a pod. Tommy thought I belonged only to him. I am shocked to hear Vince said yes to the idea of you seeing other guys. If Tommy had been more like that and let my little flings run their course, we might still be married, a big happy family, and he would have had a satisfied hot little wife. Well, Vince didn't say yes exactly, but he didn't raise any objections when I told him what I needed to feel good. I mean, Vince never said no, which I know meant he was okay with it. It was so frustrating. It took me weeks to set up this date, then poof, at the last minute Vince changed his mind and expected me to just drop all my plans. What a selfish son of witch. Brandy agreed. Yes, and I had even lined up a hot little co-ed for him as a surprise thank you for Vince for being so cool about everything. Wow, you are like a dream wife. Brandy commented. You think Vince would have welcomed that? Yeah, you would think. I continued, but no. I had my date tested and was going to make him wear protection. You think Vince appreciated all my attention to detail? No, Vince just insulted me. He flat out refused when I offered to let him do later that night after my date. I can't believe that. Guy turning down? That is unheard of. Well, how was your date night? You get any? Brandy, I do not know why you keep doing it. The whole night was terrible. At first it was fun hanging out with the young girls, made me feel like a kid again. My guy was some muscle-bound meathead. It was crude and awkward and I had a headache most of the night. I kept looking at my watch, counting the time to get home. I know what you mean. Almost all of the guys are complete jerks. I have better pleas by myself, but I love the attention they give me. You get laid at least? No, we made out like some love-struck teenagers. Even that wasn't any good. I ended up giving him a HJ, just so the lug would come back and let Vince know it was no big deal. You understand. Try to save Vince's ego and all. I needed my date, that man-child, to confirm no sex went on. That's why I gave BJ to him in the car on the way home. Let me tell you, Brandy, that would have been the first, last, and only date if Vince had not pulled this shit. Well, don't worry, Lisa. Once you get that fat check from the bank account and every month thereafter, plus watch as the court makes him move out of the house, the pain of all your sacrifice will go away. Brandy pulled out of the parking spot. You should take your half of Vince's 401k and go on a cruise. I did that with Tommy's and felt so much better afterwards. Brandy got to live in their house that Tommy made payments on as a settlement of the divorce. It was one of those McMansions, so there was plenty of room. My nephews Tommy Jr. and little Frank were happy to see me. I could see they were still dealing with the divorce of Tommy and Brandy. I got the impression Brandy did not give them as much attention as they needed. My nephews were great, but sometimes it just made me miss my boys even more. I was able to see my kids at school, parked 102 yards away with a pair of binoculars. Some days I was so down I could barely get out of bed. Other days I was so pissed I wanted to strangle Vince. Things were not going so well on the legal front. My hearing about the battle royal on our front lawn was over 9 months away, so I put that out of my mind. My big concern was the divorce. Vince's shark was playing legal games, and I couldn't get any money. I had gone through 2 lawyers who dropped me after I couldn't come up with their retainer. No attorney wanted to take my case on contingency. That prick Vince had been able to get the restraining order renewed twice. I wanted to kick him for keeping me from my kids. When I found a lawyer, I planned to clean his clock in divorce court. Tommy pulled some bullshit medical injury disability thing to avoid paying Brandy her maintenance. It took a month for Brandy to yank Tommy into court, and she really got screwed. The court stopped Tommy's maintenance payments, chopped the child support money, and made Brandy take over the house mortgage. She had to go full-time at the little fashion shop, but it did not pay very much money. I talked to Vince today, Brandy said. Try to get him to talk his brain-dead brother Tommy into going back to work. No go. I thought Vince was the smarter of those 2 cavemen. Remember how Vince handled those guys at the Christmas party just after you 2 got married? God, yeah. I chuckled at the memory. I really had a lot to drink that night. Bullshit, Lisa. Those buff guys were all over you, and you were enjoying the attention. Oh, it was just a little harmless flirting. I countered. Lisa, you had your tongue not very far enough from one guy's. I did not. Lisa, come on. Brandy laughed. You were excited so much with those guys. That's not funny, Brandy. I was blushing with embarrassment. Well, Lisa, Vince did not think it was funny either. Especially when the pals of your finger bang buddy were keeping Vince away. Little guy barely came up to their chins. Remember how Vince got the last laugh? The memory was hazy, but I recalled Vince came back a few minutes later and told those muscleheads they better hurry outside, their cars were being towed away. Lisa, did Vince really tow their cars? I was pretty drunk that night, and we were both young. Still, it had taken me 2 weeks of sex to get Vince back into the holiday spirit. Sounds like Vince. Mary commented. I always hear Vince telling the boys the biggest muscle is the one between their ears. Well, sometimes that smart man is too clever for his own good. I was manic the day before the hearing. I found an attorney willing to represent me in the divorce case. It was a kid fresh out of law school. I had to promise him a big chunk of my portion of Vince's 401k. When Brandy came in from her job at the fashion shop, she was giddy with excitement. Lisa, one of our regulars at the store, is a court steno. She said your case got Judge Reynolds. Brandy was rubbing her hands together with glee. Judge Reynolds looks like my old grandfather, but knows how to decide cases like ours. Judge Reynolds understands how much a woman goes through as a wife and mother. He recognizes the pressures of raising children are best left to us ladies. You always get a fair deal with him. You think I can get my kids back? The house, my money, same ruling as you had with Tommy? Should be a lock. In the case before mine, the poor mother came in half drunk and passed out during the hearing. Her husband probably drove her to drink. Judge Reynolds gave her custody, child support, maintenance, and split everything else 50-50. The husband and his lawyer were protesting so much. Everyone in the courtroom thought they were going to have a stoke. Brady sat down at the table, but Judge Reynolds did not take any of their guff. He told them the wife looked to be under stress with the divorce and all. Judge instructed the husband he should arrange visitations around her AA meetings if the mom wanted to attend them. This Judge Reynolds grasps what I need. I exclaimed, clapping my hands. You should start thinking about what cruise you want go on, Brandy said, reaching in the fridge to pull out a bottle of wine. That evening Tommy came over. Brandy had sipped a few glasses of wine. I was not a big wine person and still had my first glass. Tommy was trying to get me to work out a deal with Vince. Screw him. I tried to keep my temper under control. I always liked Tommy. I am going to get everything out of your brother. Vince thinks you can't get blood out of a turnip? Come to Judge Reynolds' court tomorrow and watch a turnip bleed. Lisa, please listen. Vince is not like me, you know that. Tommy pleaded. You push him too hard and he may just quit the game and do something rash. What? Get a restraining order against me? Throw me in jail? Trump up some bogus charge? I was on a roll. Your brother brought this on himself. I told him what would happen. Vince set me up, letting me think I could go out and have some fun, then pulling the rug out from under me. Stop, Tommy interrupted. Lisa, you continue like this and you will lose everything. Vince may just bundle up the kids and make a run for the border. I had killed the engine and glided into my driveway with headlights off. It was about 3 a.m. Brandy was with me and a little bit tipsy. We planned to snatch up my boys and bring them to her house. The old saying was possession was September 10th of the law. If Vince did not need to follow the law and was going to kidnap my children, then I could ignore that effing restraining order. Somehow Brandy had slipped the house key off Tommy. I headed to the boys' room and Brady went to make sure Vance was still sleeping in the master bedroom. The boys' room was locked, which caused me to curse. Brandy come back and told me the master bedroom was empty. I put my ear to the door and heard Vince's voice. If I had been mad before now, I felt like spitting flames. I started pounding on the door. Damn it, Vince, open this door. You are not taking my children. No way was my kids going to be hiding out in some third world country in the middle of a drug war or living under a bunch of aliases in the Great White North. Brandy started banging on the door with me. I was getting more pissed by the second. God damn it, Vince, if I have to break this door down, I will. I screamed at the door. Open up now. When I smash this door down, I will kick your butt for real this time. I knew I was no match in any physical fight with Vince, but I would make damn sure he would not leave that house with my children. I would lay down in front of his car first. In frustration, I started kicking the bottom of the door. After a few vicious kicks, the plywood split. My foot went all the way through the door to the calf. That caused a nasty scratch that stung like a witch. I pulled my leg back. God damn it, Vince, that really hurt. I started kicking the door harder. The adrenaline was surging. I could sense myself losing control. It was like a wild woman had taken over my body. I am going to kill you. I screamed at the door. I now understood how a bull in the bullfight feels. That door was like waving a damn cape at me. Brandy was kicking at the bottom of the door now also. The plywood was breaking away. The small holes were getting bigger. The bottom facade was giving away more and more. Suddenly, there was a massive double boom. The bottom of the door exploded. Someone hit my legs with sledgehammers. I was dropped to the floor like a bowling pin. The bottom of the door was gone, and a cloud of smoke rolled out past the jagged wood. I saw Brandy next to me in a heap. Pain more severe than I had ever experienced swept over me. Everything faded to dark. When I awoke, my body was in bandages and I was handcuffed to a bed. I became hopeless and wanted to die. My prospects were prison, a life without my children. My legs and looks were as damaged as my future. I was told it could have been worse. The shotgun I was shot with contained shells that were old and powder weak. Still, I fell into a deep depression and was put on suicide watch with a full psych medical workup. One of the big pharma firms was doing a clinical trial on hormone replacement medication at the hospital. My doctor was able to interest the man in charge of the project in my case. It took a few weeks of different meds and doses, in addition to daily shrink sessions, but I pulled out of my hole. For the first time in my adult life, I did not suffer the terrible blue days or crazy happy swings. My expectations were not high, but at least I no longer wished to die. I was eating what passed for lunch when there was a quick knock at my hospital door. Without being invited in, a lady with a briefcase and holding a file folder full of papers strode in briskly. She took a seat next to my bed. I hurriedly rearranged the bed covers over my plaster-encased legs. Once my pride and joy, I now tried to keep them covered whenever anyone was around. I felt self-conscious about my lower limbs, even around the nurses and doctors. "Lisa, I have been assigned your case by the public defender's office," she began, without even a hello. "This is the deal. You are going to testify against Brandy. The ASA agreed to time served, a few months in county and 4 years of probation." She tossed a folder on my bed while searching for a pin in her suit pocket. "I can't testify against Brandy. She is my friend." I protested. "You don't need a friend now. You need an attorney. This is your lucky day, for I am a lawyer. Now sign here, here, and here." She pointed to some places on a mass of papers in my lap. "You plead guilty now and do some short county time. If we go to trial, your hair will be as gray as mine when you get out of the pen. My husband is trying to divorce me. If I plead guilty, I will lose custody of my children." "You are going to lose custody of the children anyway," she sounded patient-like when I was trying to explain something to my young boys. "Lisa, at least this way you get to see your children by summer. Take the deal. Otherwise, the next time you view the kids without bars and an orange jumpsuit will be at their graduation. If I'm in jail during the divorce hearings, Vince will take everything." "Well, not everything. I already spoke to your husband and blew some smoke up his shorts. He's not too big a jerk, as far as ex-husbands go." She gave a little laugh. "I should know. I have 3 of those ex-bums." She pulled papers from a pile at her feet. "Here is the divorce agreement. You get to keep your car and some of the savings. He gets the house and 401k. What about my boys? That you will have to work out with Vince once you get released. I'm not a marriage therapist, but I would try to be in a better mood when you are trying wrangle visitation terms." Vince was never very understanding of my moods. I doubt he will show me any consideration now. My second husband was always whining, calling me moody. One day he bought me a mood ring. We discovered that when I was in a good mood, it turned green. When I was in a bad mood, it left a big frickin' red mark on his forehead. She smiled at her own joke. Dumb man should have bought me a diamond. I laughed too in spite of myself. I was a still little overwhelmed and said, "So, this a lot for me to grasp. Can I have some time to think about it?" "You have until I get out of this chair and walk to that door." "Listen, princess, I have a couple dozen other cases that need my attention, so get it in gear. Brandy is getting the same offer from the ASA. If she takes the deal first, you won't have to decide. The state will decide every aspect of your life while you are in the joint." I was still in a bit of a daze from all the new information. "Can't you show a little sympathy? I am in the hospital." "Princess, you want sympathy? Look between shit and syphilis in the dictionary. Because you're not going to find it here. This is not right. I only wanted to have some fun, feel young again. No one was going to get hurt. That damn Vince turned on me like a rabid dog. He made up a bunch of lies." I pulled the blanket off my lower body to uncover my legs. "The prick. He shot me. Now Vince gets everything? It's not fair." The lady defense attorney rolled her eyes at my outburst. "Princess, I know that Big Pharma is pumping you full of wonder drugs to make you feel good, plus them shrink sessions." She moved her chair closer to me. "But let's you and I cut through all the psychobabble. You wanted to screw around on your husband and convinced yourself he was okay with it. Hell, you were going to go through with your little hide the salami night even if he wasn't on board. You got caught and busted. Now I know what hubby did, and his story is pure crap. But you better deal with the cards you have in your hand, not the ones in your mind. No one was hurt by what I wanted. It is just not fair." I repeated. "Princess, no one said justice was fair, just blind. This is not Law and Order or some episode of CSI, with a cast of dozens searching for the truth. This is fast food justice, so get it now or go hungry. Time to shit or get off the pot." I sighed and reached for the pin. Brandy refused any deals. She still thought she could go back to the way it was before with Tommy and her alimony. Brandy wanted to sue Vince and his homeowner's insurance over her injuries. Brandy had big plans for her settlement money. The ASA was not happy and piled on the counts. The jury voted guilty on most of the charges. Brandy ended up going down for 7 to 10. She might get out in 4 years. The divorce went through while I did my 120 days in county. It was mostly boring with only my rehab and shrink sessions a few times a week to break the monotony. I wrote long letters to my boys, even a few to Vince. The long days mellowed out my anger towards Vince and his actions. The drugs had a big effect on that, I guess. Sometimes I even felt some affection when I thought about him. Not the love of a wife, but more as the father to my children. I no longer had the mood swings of the past. While I missed the energy and drive my highs used to give me, I was thankful not to get the dark depressions the blues brought on. Still, I was surprised when Vince was at my release and offered me a ride. I thought he had come to gloat. It was the weekend, so I couldn't get to the bank for the divorce money until Monday. I figured to hole up at the YWCA or a halfway house until then. I dreaded riding the bus. Therefore, I took Vince up on his offer of a lift. Once we started to drive, my temper flared. "You didn't have to shoot me, you know." Vince came right back. "You didn't have to cheat on me, threaten to take the kids and bankrupt me, you know." I bit my tongue before I blurted out the words, "This from the liar." Vince continued, "Lisa, is this really how you want our first conversation to go?" I took a deep breath and concentrated on the mental exercises we had done in therapy. Vince was right. No use rehashing the past. It no longer mattered what got us to this point. Where we went from this point was what was important. Besides, I needed to be in Vince's graces if I wanted to see my kids. I thought of everything ahead of me. I had to find a place to live, a job, cajole some time with my children out of Vince. I felt so weary. I just slumped back in the seat and stared at the floor silently while he drove. After a while, I noticed we were not headed downtown. Vince said he needed to make a stop first. I knew Vince was doing this to prolong my agony. I let Vince know I had a lot to do and pleaded to not add any more delays. Was I in for a surprise? Vince and Tommy has rented me a little condo close to my now former home. The kids were all there and I was overwhelmed. I kept hugging and kissing the boys as they showed me all around my new residence. The place had all my old furnishing, even pictures of my boys on the wall. I then got my second shock. Vince and Tommy wanted me to play den mother and take care of their household and the children. It was a dream job. I would see my boys every day, be a part of their lives. I didn't care about the pay. The only question I asked Vince was, when do I start? The next 2 years flew by, and we settled into a routine. The transition was pretty smooth. The biggest obstacle was Tommy's dog Candy. That scarred Doberman was always giving me the eye and a low growl when I arrived at the house in the morning. A few days of extra milk bones and chew treats had that mutt wagging his stubby tail in no time. I must admit Candy was very protective of the boys in the house. Woe to any salesman or solicitor who tried to talk their way past the doorway. I filled my time in between the house with taking some classes online and at the local community college. It took a while to get used to the stares my face brought. The incident had left a nasty scar on my right side from eye to lower cheek. I could have had plastic surgery, but the boys loved me the way I was. I no longer needed attention from others to provide my self-worth. Tommy and Vince encouraged me to go out. I had kept off the weight I lost in jail and was down to my old college volleyball playing figure, but I was never asked on dates. Tommy became quite the ladies' man and was never short of dates on the weekend or even overnights. I admit I was a bit jealous when Vince went out. When Vince called me to ask if I could stay overnight while he was out on one of his dates the first time, took a lot to bite my tongue. One Saturday, Tommy had taken the boys to a birthday party. I heard Vince singing in the shower, cleaning up after some lawn work. He had a terrible voice. It sounded like someone was killing a cat. I was putting some clean towels in the same bathroom. It was not like we never saw each other without our clothes, so I ignored Vince's objections. However, when I glanced through the shower door, I felt myself get excited. Vince was still in pretty good shape. Coaching the boys' teams and chasing the kids around had kept him and Tommy fit. I had put an end to the pizza and burger meal times. I did not begrudge anyone a little treat, but gone were the endless bags of chips and cartons of ice cream. The children were not going to get diabetes and become little couch potatoes on my watch. This was too good a chance to pass up, I thought. Vince had stopped going on dates, but I did the laundry and knew he had not been completely celibate. I quickly undressed. I had goosebumps as I opened the shower door and stepped through a cloud of steam. Vince was rinsing off his hair with his back to me. Before I let Vince turn around, I told him how long I had waited for this. He was surprised to see me. Then he suddenly said to me, declining all my advances, that I am the mother of his children's and always will be, but we can't be together the way I wanted. I knew we would never have the crazy type of love when we were first married. I thought we could have a more mature kind of affection, based more on comfort, compatibility, mutual interests, and our children rather than raging hormones. We had both grown. I no longer judged my value by the amount of attention others paid to me. I knew what now mattered most in my life. It wasn't what or how much other people thought of me. I was shocked when Vince replied and started talking about me leaving, getting another job someplace, taking care of some senior. I put my hand over his mouth and gripped him tight, blurting out, "No, Vince, please. I just need this right now in my life. You must understand that. It has nothing to do with you or the kids." I couldn't give this up now. It was my reason for getting up in the morning, a lifeline. I loved being with the boys and life I had now. It gave my life meaning. However, when Vince heard me say, "I just need this right now in my life, you must understand that. It has nothing to do with you or the kids," he shot up and away from me like I had stabbed him with an electric cattle prod. He rubbed his eyes for a minute, then looked straight ahead. Had I spooked him that bad about getting back together? Vince did not even look at me when he said, "Lisa, the last time I heard this sentence from you. I just need this right now in my life, you must understand that. It has nothing to do with you or the kids. We were in this same room and you were getting ready for your date. The date that ended our marriage. Hell, I think I was sitting at the same spot on this bed." I was stunned by Vince's statement. I could not recall the exact words from our conversation that night, but from the venom in Vince's voice, it was clear he still had a clear memory of every word and phrase. I did not mean to repeat a statement from my terrible date night. It was obvious that Vince still had a lot of emotional trauma. When I first started taking care of Vince, Tommy and the boys, Vince had avoided being in any room with me alone. I started leaving right after the boys were put to bed as I saw how uncomfortable I was making Vince. After a few months, I thought he had gotten over it. Now it was clear Vince's wounds had not healed. My words coming back from that night had ripped that wound open. I had to let Vince know I had changed. Times had changed. "I am not a bad person, Vince," I told him. "Yeah, I know the old cliche, you're a good person who did a bad thing. That was a long time ago. I know it does not help, but it was not really me back then. Well, I really wish it wasn't me back then, but it was." I thought I could appeal to Vince's religious nature. "Vince, I go to church with you every Sunday. Can't you forgive and forget?" Vince did not budge on his stance. It is not about forgiveness and forgetting. It is about trust. "Lisa, even as well as things have been between us, the once bitten, twice shy analogy still applies. Time to see if I could salvage the condition, get the situation under control." So I tried to pacify him. "Okay, Vince, I understand. I do not like it, but I understand. I guess it is too much to ask after all we have been through. But I do not want to lose what I have with you and the boys. Please, let's just keep on the same. Let's just keep it simple." Vince paused before answering and I held my breath. "Okay, Lisa works for me." I let out a high sigh of relief. I got off the bed and started to walk to the bathroom. Will Vince and I ever get back together? Not like we used to be. However, I am happy with how my life is. I got a boost to my self-esteem when one of my old instructors asked me out on a date. I got that old thrill for a moment that another's attention used to give me. It passed quickly, and I gracefully talked my way out of the invitation. There was no way I was going to risk what I had been there, done that. I am closer to my boys and nephews than I have ever been. I am at every one of their events, both school and sport. I even stay overnight when I wish. My life is on an even keel and has 4 great boys, a man in my life, even a faithful dog. What could be better in my life than that? Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.